The Zed to Zed Podcast.
Good morning, good evening, or good day, and welcome to the Zed to Zed Podcast, the home for Xbox achievement hunters and Gamerscore junkies. I'm your host, Brandon Freeman. Thank you so much for listening. At Zed to Zed, we love gaming, and in particular, grabbing achievements and gaining Gamerscore. We do news, reviews, and interviews. If it's about achievements, we'll unlock it. Well, today's show, we are full of diseased hosts. Yeah, a whole pile of them, and so we're trying to get everything we can with the best sound quality possible. We got a two-part show tonight. We're going to do our regular show, and then we've got an interview on the back half of the show that I'm sure will be interesting. I'm looking forward to hearing it. It'll be fun. And it's going toward my goal of getting my interviews for the year. So we got a whole bunch of stuff lined up for January. I hope you all enjoy it. So let's move into this show. You know, you can find show notes for this show, as well as previous shows, on our website, zed2zed.com. This is episode 57. You can also contact us with questions or comments on Twitter, at Zed2Zed, Z-E-D-T-O-Z-E-D, over at our forums, forum.zed2zed.com, or email us directly, contact@zed2zed.com. Today's show is brought to you by the achievement Gen 10 in the game Titanfall. This achievement is in honor of the Zed2Zed UK boosting session participants, McLovin Legend, Angel SK, Buck Marley, Tatey, and Keith 271179, all of whom reached this milestone within the past couple of weeks. Of course, Gen 10 is a mockingly annoying zero Gamerscore achievement, and the climb to get there is quite daunting. Each generation requires the player to reach level 50 and complete the appropriate challenges for that generation. The challenges get significantly more difficult as you climb into each subsequent generation, but boosting can make this noticeably less painful. Congrats on the 5 of you for your accomplishments, and now, if you can only get Tarragon to that milestone. And I've seen McLovin's call out to the U.S. boosting sessions on the wanting to have a head-to-head battle. We'll find some time. You wait. Special thanks to developer Respawn and publisher Electronic Arts. And if you, our fantastic listeners, have a suggestion for an achievement sponsor, let us know. You can contact us Twitter, of course, at Zed2Zed, Z-E-D-T-O-Z-E-D. Come chat with us over at Discord. That's discord.me/Zed2Zed, all one word, or email contact@Zed2Zed.com. You know, you can even leave it in a podcast review post. So, Before we completely lose our voices, let's introduce who I have with me tonight. We have Tarragon. How are you, sir?
Yellow. Good. How are you?
You're actually in good shape, right? I mean, you're
Yes.
not falling apart.
No, I was feeling a little bit sick earlier, but I'm not sure. I've been a bit kind of feverish-y, sort of, but I think that's just the humidity.
I was going to say, it's like 97 degrees freedom units, right?
Yeah. Freedom.
Gotcha.
Bit old freedom units, freedom units, whatever.
Gotcha. So, battling long-term illness is Prue. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm okay. I got something from my nephews. I'm not used to, being around little children very often. Yeah, So I got it when I was home for Christmas, and I just can't seem to get rid of this cough. But other than that, I'm doing great.
Those things are those little things, cesspools, all of them.
I tell you, I was only there for 3 days, and I can't even shake it.
The harbinger of disease. It's unbelievable. He doesn't have kids, but he is also sick. I'm thinking it's travel related. Crandy's with us tonight. How are you, sir?
I'm pretty rainy.
Rainy because you've got mucus dripping from your nose? Is that?
Well, that's half of it. And then I had to travel for an extra 24 hours longer than expected while I was sick. So that's made me pretty rainy.
I can see it.
Yeah.
I can see it. But you're back now, right? You're back.
I'm back in New York.
Nice and frosty sick. New York.
It's actually not bad. It was above freezing today. Canada was colder. But yeah. I think it won't be long.
So does Canada use freedom units or communist units?
Canada uses Celsius.
So
they're not
commie
free.
Units. All right,
they're not free.
Canadian units. That's what the C is. Yeah, well, that's great. That's great. It's nice to have the band back together, and hopefully we can get an opportunity to get Joe on the show as well. We get everybody contributing to the podcast. No Damien this week, though. But we do have some new announcements to make here real quick. We mentioned a lot of this at the last show. I'll just reiterate it here. Listening to this podcast, we've moved contest talk and, the regular topics and things that we go through. They're at the end. So if you want to hear about what's going on in the community, the winners were drawn. So we'll mention those at the end of the show. Tarragon has a link in the show notes for all the active contests. We've put the word active in front. So if you're on our forums, you can look up active contests, and there they all are. Well, we got 4 of them going on right now, right? That's a nice...
I better go and put that link in, hey?
Yeah, you absolutely should. We've got tons of boosting and co-op related rooms in our Discord chat. So if there isn't a specific game that you're looking for, right? We've got our Diablo one. We've got the WWE. I've just started the Battleborn chat. We've got Battleborn in there. Elite Dangerous there's a bunch. But if there's a game in there that we don't have, you can either A, request it, and if it makes sense, we'll put one up, or B, there is a generic LFG game spot where you can go and just throw something out there like, hey, I'm trying to boost wins in Rayman. So can someone tank a weekly challenge for me? And you hopefully can get some help in there real quick on the fly. So use that; it'll be great. We did have a few new people raise their hand for their GTASC teams. So Saucy Slingo's team raised their hand. R56 Cooper S11. His team will be tracked as well. So we'll put all that up where we can see all that fun stuff. So lots of fun things happening in the community. Let's talk about the fun things that's happening on our console. Let's start with. I'm nervous about even doing this, Randy, but I'm going to start with you. Don't let me down. And I want highlights. All right? That means good things. Because I know there's a few things that you've done that are pretty darn cool. Okay. But I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear about all the garbage window phone games you've been playing.
Okay. We'll skip. Okay, let me.
Maybe you can rapid fire them.
So it's been okay. I'll do that. It's been a little bit.
I'm just imagining him going, okay, oh, well, I won't talk about that one or that one.
I'm hearing all these papers ripped, right? Crumple, 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 crumple. There's like 4 sheets of paper.
So I did manage my 31 completions in December.
Nice work.
I actually exceeded it. I think it was 34 or 35, which is way more than I thought. I was going to push to 300, and then Perfect Dark Zero stumped me. So... Or 300 completions overall, not 300 completions in a month, because that would be insane. So yeah, that was my big December goal. Then I guess highlights of stuff I actually played.
With all those completions, did you finish my completion contest?
I was just a Lego game.
Just the
only one.
Oh,
just
man.
a Lego game.
I'm so pissed I put that in there.
Just get it done.
They just took. See, if I would have looked earlier, I would have just rip through an easy one, because I've got a bunch of them. But when I'm looking at
they're all kind of easy.
They're all super easy. They're super time consuming.
Except the first one. Except the first one.
But when I'm looking at getting 31 plus completions in a month, a 20-hour game that I'm just starting is too long. So especially when I wanted to finish Gears of War and Perfect Dark Zero.
What are you talking about? There's well more than 20 hours in a month. You can do that easy. It's like there's more than 20 hours in a day. Come on.
So yeah, no Lego game. That's the only one. Everything I did get everything else though. Then after I finished that, and I was kind of like, what am I going to play? So I started Sonic CD, which, as I think I've mentioned, I'm a big fan of. Bunch of easy Windows Phone games. Sudoku completed, Breeze completed. Then I was working on Pac-Man Kart Rally, which is a drag. Man, that game is a drag.
Is that a kart racer? It's
a kart racer, but it's really bad. It's really bad, and it's really tedious. You have to play the same 12 races 20 times to get one of the achievements, and it's tedious. So yeah, that one has been on my tag for probably close to a year now, as my guess. And it's just been one I try not to start another Windows Phone game until I finish the last one that I started. But that one I've been breaking the rules all all year for that one because it's just a drag. And it doesn't help because I was almost done, and then I lost my progress on one of my Windows phones when it updated. It wiped all my app data. So I had
this
to
is another reason I hate Windows Phone. It's just too easy to lose all of your progress.
So bad.
Speaking of all this losing, you had kind of a scare, right?
A scare?
Yeah, about losing your phone. I saw some panic.
Oh yes, I did.
Some panic posts for about 15 minutes.
Okay, so I was like, really. This is when I was traveling and sick. So what happened when I was traveling is I went to get on my second flight, my flight from Canada to the U.S., and so when I got married, my last name changed, and my passport's still the same. It is my old pre-married last name, and so I get up, and they're like, "We have no record of your booking." I'm like, what? So like the first checkpoint. So I've traveled a bunch with this, and it's never been a problem. So I never bothered to change it. I was just whatever. I'll change it when I renew my passport. And then the first airport, they're like, "We can't let you on the plane. Your passport doesn't match your ticket." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, I've flown like 6 times since this happened. Like, nobody's ever." And they're like, "Oh, we're getting audited." So you only care in like the first week of the year when you're getting audited. Like,
you got to put on a good show.
Yeah, they're like, okay, whatever. So they fixed it and got me on the plane. And then the second one, I don't know. They seemed to think it was related, but then later I found out it was totally unrelated. When I switched airlines, there was just no record because it was like booked through A and then operated from B or whatever because they're like a partner airline.
Yep.
And they just didn't transfer my booking over. So I'm there at the gate for my plane, and keep it like at this point, I'm running on like 3 hours of sleep. I've been awake for like 6 hours, and I'm almost falling asleep standing up. And then they're like, "You can't get on the plane. We don't have any record of your booking. We won't let you on because it's international." I'm like, oh. So I like watch my plane take off, and they're like,
how is that international? Like, isn't Canada part of America? I thought that was how that worked.
Yes, they must have made a mistake.
I don't know why you didn't use the trebuchet and just launch yourself over the border.
I know, I should have. And so
it's what they do in Mexico, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, when that wall comes. When that wall comes. So then they're like, "Okay, you got to go all the way out of security. You got to go back to the thing. You got to go find whatever." They're like, "Go to this terminal and go to the old terminal and find the ticketing." I'm like, "I don't know where that is." Like, they don't care. They're like, "Whatever, you go through here." So it turns out that was the last flight of the day. This is at like noon. Last flight of the day to Chicago. So I'm stuck in Canada for another night. They paid for a hotel and stuff. So at this point, I'm like really tired and sick and angry. And I'm just like, I'm packing for the next day because they couldn't get me on the same flight the next day. They had to get me on the early one. So I had to wake up at 5 a.m., which I have a really hard time doing. So I'm like packing the night before, and I'm looking. I'm like, oh no, because I was all tired this whole morning. So I knew I took my Windows Phone out on the first flight, and I thought that I tucked it in the back pocket on the seat. And then and then I fell asleep, and I'm kind of like all groggy when the plane lands. And then I thought I just walked off without it. I'm like, oh, I lost my Windows Phone. I didn't even care. The Windows Phone's like $30, whatever. I mean, that sucks, but it's not that big of a deal. But I was way more concerned about my Progress and Pac-Man cards. And Breeze, because I didn't want to play Breeze again. That was the other game that I finished. Breeze is okay, but I would not want to play it twice. Like, it was fine for what it is, but not a game I'd want to play again. So that's my Windows Phone flight story. Fortunately, it was actually just buried in my bag, because I guess in my, like,
drunken stupor.
Yeah, drowsy state, I had just like thrown it in the pocket that I wasn't putting my phones in.
Does your wife not travel with you? Did she not care for your family?
No, she didn't. Well, she had to go back to school.
Oh,
so
I gotcha.
I stayed for a long time, and it's all last minute because I didn't know if I was gonna. Like, I was hoping by then I'd have a job or something. Apparently not.
That'd be nice.
I know, it would be nice. So yeah, then on to stuff I was playing now. I started playing Killer Instinct again because after I finished my completion challenge, I was like, yeah, I want to play some fun games again, and I want to get some stuff off my tag. So Killer Instinct, having fun with that. New character came out, so that's cool. I had a local co-op partner to play Aegis Wing with, and I finally beat the game on hard. It took us a few tries, but we beat it.
Nice.
Played some Halo 3 and Halo Reach with friends locally, which was a blast. Been a long time since I played either of those, and we had a lot of fun. A lot of people still play Halo 3. I was amazed. I think it peaked at about 12,000 people online on Halo 3.
Jeez, really? Were you playing on Master Chief Collection or on the 360?
No, this is original 360 Halo 3.
That's bizarre. They don't merge those. Well, that's not BC. Is it BC on Master Chief?
No.
Nope.
No. It's that's a separate game. It's included on. Totally. It's not like it's in the collection. It's not a.
Yeah.
Totally separate game.
It's completely separate. Halo 3 actually isn't backwards compatible at all,
which is dumb.
Yeah, it really is. Because I thought it was when I was looking. I was like, oh, well, because like 6 of us wanted to play. I'm like, oh, I'll just download it on the Xbox One. I'm like, oh, it's not backwards compatible. Oh,
there's a crap ton of people.
Guess we're taking turns. So yeah, that was cool, and that was a lot of fun. I'll save the big one for last, I guess. Started Saints Row Gat Out of Hell, both versions, or also known as Saints Row Collectible Simulator. Got the play co-op for 3 hours. Just let that idle. Busted out Ghostbusters, the video game. Played the first level. Gonna do some more of that. Get that finished this month, I think.
Did you play that on backwards compatible?
I did not. I played that on the 360. But it's a funny coincidence that it happened to go backwards compatible when I planned on working on it.
So, like, if I went to play that, should I still be concerned about the save glitches?
Yes.
Like,
it's doable. If you do it right and you're careful, you should have no issues. But you have to do it right. So do not play any single player until you're finished multiplayer. There's something that happens. I think it's something like the darkness, like where you lose some progress and then you can't get it back. The darkness, you can always get it back, but Ghostbusters,
sounds ominous.
Something breaks. Don't cross streams in multiplayer. That's a rumor. I can't confirm or deny that one, but apparently.
Wait a minute.
I mean, they distinctly told us in the movie not to
I was just
going
to say, there's an actual glitch for crossing streams? Is that what you're saying right now?
Yeah, I think there is an actual glitch for crossing streams.
That would be amazing. That's incredible.
Yeah. So, now, like I said, I don't know if that's a rumor. I can't confirm that one for sure.
That sounds like some big rigs level conspiracy.
Yeah, there's no way. That sounds ridiculous.
Anyway, I mean, there's a lot of conspiracies with Ghostbusters because, I mean, it's got all kinds of things going on, but it is a very, very fun game. Like that, it's a fantastic game. Aside from the achievement glitches, the multiplayer is an awesome experience. I really had it was really hard. It was very difficult, but had a lot of fun playing that multiplayer. And the single player is looking pretty good so far. It looks very similar to the similar kind of gameplay. So I'm looking forward to that one. But that was for my random to-do list, which I'm actually making some progress on this month.
Nice.
So I think I've got 3 achievements so far, and I've got at least 3 more lined up by the end of the month.
You say making some progress. You make it sound like you got more than 3. You know there are 25, right?
Hey, that's a big progress for me. Okay.
I suppose. Every journey starts with a single step.
All of mine are like late story achievements, and I won't start a story without finishing it. So it's like when I get one of those, I have to play the whole game, then I'll just finish the game and then move on to the next one. So it's a long process for me. But we're getting there.
You're such a warrior, Randy.
I've been playing lots of Saints Row 4 with Prue, which is not a fun game.
I saw
did
the
a little stream of
that.
Yeah, it's not a fun game. That's a rainy stream.
Saints Row Fun. That's what we call it.
It just gets weird. Yeah, we've been calling it Saints Row Fun. It's not fun. It's not fun.
We should encourage everyone to watch the stream to hear your glowing review.
His rainstorm, that's what it is. Yeah.
It's really annoying me because they're like taking scenes from Saints Row 2 and Saints Row 1 and like putting them in that abomination of a game, and they're like, it's Saints Row. It's like, no, it does not resemble Saints Row at all. Like, I was playing it today, and my wife was like, what game are you playing? Like, what is that? And she played Saints Row 2. And I was like, it's Saints Row. She's like, that's not Saints Row. So, it does not, and then that got me thinking, I was like, Yeah, it pretty much doesn't resemble Saints Row, like real Saints Row. Anything other than the name, the main character, which is a stretch, and the fleur-de-lis.
There's a lot of purple in the game.
It's a
Lots
terrible
of purple.
game.
You got that fancy new controller to play.
I know. I do. I got to get a cover for it, though. Get a cover first.
Just put it in a Ziploc bag.
Yeah, but I can't. My Xbox doesn't work wirelessly.
Well, that's why you have the top. You just, creep the wire out.
Oh, okay. I see.
Right out the top.
I see.
It's perfect.
Make it. Okay. Now the big one. The big one that we've all been waiting for. Perfect Dark Zero. Finally done. Oh,
That's
that was
awesome.
a glorious
So
completion.
is that the end of Rare, like official end of Rare Replay?
No, I've got, unfortunately, Cameo and Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
Nuts and
I
bolts.
was going to say nuts and bolts.
Nuts and Bolts. Oh, it's so bad.
So much fun.
And Jetpack Refueled, which isn't that bad. Oh, and Perfect Dark. So, Perfect Dark, I think will be fun.
Like
Nuts
the
and
original
Bolts,
Perfect
not.
Dark?
Yeah, the original Perfect
Okay.
Dark. It's tough, but I think it's much more polished than Perfect Dark Zero. So I really wanted to give Perfect Dark Zero a higher rating, but I had to give it 2.5. Got an extra half for having good multiplayer.
Way too high.
Like it's 2 because all the game mechanics are broken and don't work. There are missions that require you to be stealthy, and you can't stealth kill anyone. You kill one person, everybody knows where you are for the rest of the entire level. Every time.
Well, you're a
Did they
murderer.
not test
Sounds like
this
Assassin's
game?
Creed.
Did they not test this game? And it wasn't so bad until you get to the hardest difficulty, where it's just, at least in the lower difficulties, you have enough health that you can deal with it. Like you can get good at just killing people and deal with it. But on the hardest, it's just, you just die. Like there's no recovering. You get hit 2 or 3 times. That's it. You're done. So had to lower that. And then the people that were in chat, mission 11. Now, this one is the hardest in the game. People talk about Mission 9, which I thought was true. No. Mission 11. I beat it 3 times before I beat it 4 times. The 4th time is the time I actually beat it. First 2 times, the AI are so dumb they run in front of your gunfire. I was shooting at the final objective before it shot back at me. 2 times, my teammates ran in front of my gun, died, mission failed. 3rd time, waited for my teammates, was very careful. One of them spawned outside of the arena, and he's the one that triggers the win. So there I am. I blew it up. I'm like, yeah, I did it. And then nothing triggered. I'm like, what's going on? And I realized one of them's missing. I'm like, okay, well, he's probably just stuck on something. So I go look around the whole arena. He's nowhere. So then I start looking outside the arena. I look down. There he is.
Just
spawned
hanging
in
out.
the corner, just not moving. I tried shooting him. Didn't work. He just stood there.
Stood there mocking you.
Yep. No, I swear, that game is designed to break your soul.
It's true.
It does everything in its power.
It's in the name of the game, right? Perfect Dark. I mean, it's taking you to a new level of darkness.
Yeah. Anyway, that's
It
my...
only was named Perfect Dark Souls, anyway.
That's a good
I
one.
like it.
That's a good one.
I like
That's
it.
my long-winded recap for the week.
Well, perfect.
All
And
right.
for that joke, Tarragon, you win. You get to go next.
Sure. I started off the week after last show, basically with a bit of Titanfall with the UK crew. So that was Sunday night for me, and got a bunch of achievements in that. But my
Are you
progress
sad
is
they're
still...
going to abandon you now that they're all done?
Well, they said they'll stick around for a
Yeah.
while anyway. I think the only thing I want out of that game really is just, to do one generation and get all the hardware, and then I'm happy with not getting Gen 10. I think I can live without it in my life. But after that session as well, I got jumped into Assassin's Creed Unity with Joe, so Angel SK, just to pick up a couple of the co-op achievements that I needed from that. And that game is basically done, except for popping the achievements. So I don't know if I already said last episode, but I basically have essentially preloaded pretty much everything in that. There's only like one action I need to do for practically every achievement left over. So I'm just sort of sitting on that one. Leo's Fortune, which was a game that popped up in my RTDL last month. I decided to go through and actually finish that off and get as much out of that as I can, or as much as I wanted to. So I basically finished the game off and got some of the challenge mode stuff done. And so that was pretty good. I don't think I'm ever going to bother going through and getting all of the speed runs and the no death runs and stuff like that. So I kind of put that onto my done with pile. Game I've been looking forward to for a while called The Bunker. Which is sort of a visual novel-esque kind of game, but it's all shot live action, and it's about a guy who's basically was born in and grew up in a nuclear fallout bunker during a nuclear war, essentially. Kind of like Fallout in some ways, except without any of the extra gameplay. But he's basically the game starts off, and this isn't really a spoiler, but the game starts off with your mother essentially giving birth to you, and then a bit like fast forward like 20 years or whatever, and your mother's dying, and you're the last two in the bunker, and so basically you start off the game essentially going through a routine every day of take your vitamins, check your radiation level, eat your food, do all these other checks and things like that. And so he's basically been doing this for 20 years, and you can imagine you're kind of not in the best mental shape. And that's sort of the premise. And then some things start to go a bit weird. I can't say that I really thought a lot of this title. The story itself was okay. I kind of got that, but the gameplay, such as it is, was really just a matter of like, okay, you click to go to the next area and you click to do the next thing that you're supposed to do. It's basically, there wasn't really a lot to it. Yeah, it wasn't really a lot to it. So it was really just basically barely interacting with the story that you go through. So there are some sort of collectibles and things like that I guess sort of add to the story a little bit. But they're also annoyingly easy to miss, and there is no chapter select. So if you miss one and you go past it, it's completely missed, and you need to restart the entire thing over.
Gross.
And also you need to get them all in one run. So if you, for example, there was one I missed. I had to go through the game 3 times to get this. There was one I missed, one of the documents, and as a result, had to start it all over again. Once I got to that document, nope, achievement didn't pop there. I had to keep going through the rest of the game until I got the last document before it unlocked. So, just a word of warning there. If you do play this game, make sure you follow a collector's guide, because otherwise you will have multiple playthroughs, and it's pretty annoying. Particularly as you essentially have to watch full cutscenes, and you can't skip them. And it's a pain.
So I was watching Saucy Slingo play Roundabout yesterday after the Titanfall session. And those FMVs kind of freak me out. I don't know how I feel about watching FMVs in my video games. It's it's a little too real. I don't know what it is. So is the bunker? FMVs. Do you?
I love the old grainy Sega CD CDI FMVs.
I thought Roundabout was okay. The bunker really reminded me, and Crandy, you might relate to this, but way back in sort of the dark days of PC gaming, before gaming on CD was even a thing, or DVD, there was a period where the very first sort of games that came out on compact disc sort of came out, and it was always like this big wow moment, and they had full motion video, and that was sort of a big thing. And so you get all these games where essentially you're clicking through things exactly like the bunker. Essentially, you're clicking through things, and then it'll give you essentially a full motion video cutscene, and then you kind of play through one little bit, and it gives you another thing off the CD. So the bunker really reminded me of that.
It's really fancy when you can click on the video at certain points in real time, time air quotes. That's what gets real fancy. But I know exactly what you're talking about. Those are the kind of they're hilarious, and they're so bad, and they're just they only existed in a 3-year window.
Yep, exactly.
They all came out at that time.
And the funny thing is that the bunker even does the same thing as those ones would do, which is you get to a certain point where it's waiting for your input, and what they would do is basically just loop the video. So the video goes forward to a point and then goes backwards. So they play the video backwards to get this little movement thing going back, so it looks like it's funny. So
it sounds
not
like
a great
I need
game
to play this game. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, it's probably right up your alley.
Only if it's ironically.
It's not a great game. not a great game. And the story sort of, all right, not great. But easy 1K though. If you got a couple of hours to kill. I started off the Telltale Batman, and I got the first achievement in it, and I can't say that I'm really loving it at the moment. Yeah, I know, right? So I guess I'll play it a bit more, but I just haven't really I did the first little bit, and it's like, I don't know, maybe I'm just over the Telltale model. It's like I haven't really gone back to like replay Walking Dead 2 and a bunch of others that I've got on Xbox One that I've already completed on the 360. I've tried to play them again, and I'm just like,
wait,
really?
did you even get to the point where you get to pick the color of your bat tech yet?
No, not yet. Maybe that's
spoiler.
Maybe that's the
the
key.
saving grace, huh?
Maybe that's the key. Maybe that's the thing I'm missing.
Just
I don't know.
wait.
I guess I'm a little bit over the Telltale model. I don't know. Achievements and all, but yeah, the games are just I'm getting bored with them. So I'll move on to a couple of other things. I did a little bit of testing for some GI stuff, and a couple of interesting things came out of that, which particularly for achievement hunters. Firstly, Ark Survival Evolved. The achievements for those got published a little while ago. However, it's come to light that there are cheat codes that you can use. Essentially, you play it in single-player mode, and you've got access to essentially an admin console like on a PC, so reminiscent of the Fallout 3 issue, and you can actually just spawn things, and like you can spawn a dinosaur in front of you and then force it to be tame, and so you basically can get unlock those achievements straight away.
And that's a lot of the achievements, right? I mean, riding stuff and taming stuff.
Exactly, and so you can actually pretty much get all of the achievements. Well, you can definitely get all of the achievements using the console codes to spawn things in as you need. But the other interesting bit there is that all of those things can be unlocked during the trial, which means that you can download the trial of Ark Survival Evolved and get about 80% of the achievements, I think, before the trial ends using the single-player command menu. So, yeah, if you're after a quick boost of score, that might be a way to go for not many dollars. Getting the completion as will require you to get access or get a hold of the full game, but that's on you, I guess. The other one was Disney Infinity Toy Box on Windows 8, which has sort of been thought for a while to be essentially dead as far as achievements go, except I kind of managed to disprove that because I managed to unlock an achievement in it. But it's a little bit of a tricky one because you start the game and it goes off and tries to connect to Disney's service, and for most people that just sits there and spins forever and never gets any further. One workaround of that is to go offline, and that means it will skip the Disney check, but it also skips the Xbox Live sign-in, so achievements won't unlock. So it's a bit of a funny case. What I discovered, though, as I was testing, now there's a program on Windows called Fiddler, which basically acts as a kind of a man in the middle. It lets you watch what traffic's going on. It will allow you to basically see what a game or what a program is doing. So I was trying to work out what it was actually doing when it was trying to talk to Disney when it signed on the first time. But as soon as I loaded Fiddler and started the game, it went, oh, I can't contact Disney. I'll just continue on and into the game. It's like, wait, what? So I was able to sign in, and the work that I'd done for one of the achievements, the achievement just popped, and I was just like, what? So my theory is at the moment that if you happen to be running your system through a proxy, so like a web proxy of some kind, so not like Fiddler, but you could use Fiddler, but any kind of web proxy that actually takes the connection, terminates it, and reconnects to the end service, that causes the game to actually recognize that Disney is not there, and will let you sign into that game and get some of the achievements. So that's a possible workaround if you've got some things in there that you haven't done. Obviously, you can't connect to Disney to get any of their toy boxes or anything like that, but there is a little bit of hope there for some of the achievements at least.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that was my experiences for GI. That's the Game Info team over at TA. Last couple of things that I did were I was just looking at my random to-do list, which was Death Smiles, which I played and actually enjoyed, even though it's considered one of those notoriously difficult bullet hell games. If you just play it on the easiest mode, it's actually not that bad. So I just played through those. I had an achievement on that for completing it with one of the characters, and you just play like through seven levels of stuff and avoid bullets, and you can do continues and stuff, and that doesn't matter. And Guncraft, which was on Xbox 360. It's kind of like Minecraft, a Minecraft FPS sort of thing. The achievements in that are actually fairly... for the most part, they're fairly easy to do with two controllers, but some of the achievements in that are super grindy. Like I think it's something like destroy 1 million bricks or something stupid like that. So there's a lot of grindy stuff in there. It's terrible for that. So it's actually got a fairly high TA ratio. But luckily, the achievement that I needed was basically to get 20 kills in a row, which I polished off in like 15 minutes or something like that. So and that's pretty much my week. Prue.
There you go.
Prue.
Yeah, I'm here.
Prue.
I'm here.
Prue. Right.
And in fact, I'm glad that you handed it off to me because I finished Telltale Batman this week. Obviously no spoilers. Ending was it was okay. It was okay. Overall, I would put it middle tier Telltale game. I really enjoyed
a lot of people didn't like their treatment of the Joker, from what I hear.
He was fine. I haven't heard that, honestly. He's kind of a minor role. You can definitely tell they're setting him up for later on, obviously. But I didn't have any problem with him. But anyways, yeah. So I'd say put it middle of the pack for Telltale. Really strong opening. Kind of tapered off in the middle, and then at the end it was bumpy up and down. But overall, it was pretty good. I really like the fact that they switch up kind of the Batman canon that you're used to. They play with it just enough that it's a new take on all this stuff that we've heard in comics and movies and TV shows and games forever. So that was interesting. That was the best part about it, was the what they did to play with Batman canon. But so I got that done. Been playing through Skyrim. Nothing new to report there. Just I think I'm at like 120 hours at this point on Skyrim, and only about 60% done with the achievements. But
you still just tap into that every day? Is that kind of your thing?
Yeah. It's what I do when I'll do my achievement stuff I want to get done for the day, and then I'll play Skyrim for the rest of the night, pretty much.
It's a bit like me in Elite Dangerous. Speaking of which,
and that's the thing. Like I've decided I'm going to get done with Skyrim first before I dive head first into Elite. So I'm heading there. I'm heading towards the end. I'm kind of reaching that peak where all the end game stuff is about to start to come at me. So I won't be playing that too much longer.
You're going to finish Skyrim on 360 as well?
I know. I have to go back and do that.
So the question is, are you going to preload all of that stuff for GTA SC?
No.
I think one of us.
I think most people.
Our team is being really competitive.
Wait a minute, Crandy, do we need to talk? Did you not get the memo? We're ironically casual.
I was just going to say that it seemed like most people in the Discord chat said that they are not going to let GTA SC affect their gaming habits at all.
Sorry.
Well, I can say that is absolutely the case for me, because I joined some rando team and I haven't even talked to my teammates or anything. It's not a big deal to me, but I could get kicked out tomorrow and it would be no skin off my back. So no, I will not be preloading any of those achievements. I'm just going to get them when I get them, and it's fine with me.
God, you sound like a Canadian, just big quitter. Frenchie, that's what's your name. It's in your name. That's what it is.
When do Canadians become quitters?
It's his French last name.
Anyways,
Canadians and French people are basically the same, aren't they?
There's French
right?
Canadians.
Yeah, they're all the same. So for my random to-do list, my big thing that I worked on this week was Bionic Commando Rearmed, which is, that game. I remember it being a lot tougher when I first played it. It wasn't that hard this time. I had to basically play through the whole game again to get all of the upgrades for my weapons and stuff. It was fine. I thought it was going to be like an hour achievement. You ever get that? And it turns out to be a 6-hour night. Like the whole time, I'm just not getting any achievements. And I'm like, man, this sucks.
And then it's like you want to keep going because you're already in. And it's like, man, I got to be close. It's like 3 hours later. Man, I got to be close. It's got to keep going.
Yeah, like, so the final upgrade you get in that game is immediately before the final boss. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, then I'll beat the final boss so I can at least get to finish the game achievements. Nope, you don't get that because there's not one unless you're playing on hard.
Hard, I know.
Yeah, so
then,
whatever.
I have 3 left in that, and that's the hard one, and then doing all the hacks do Commando, all the hacks on hard, and then the challenge rooms. Did you do the challenge rooms at all?
No, didn't even touch them.
So there's 56 challenge rooms.
Oh, jeez.
Challenge rooms 1 through 55, total joke. Super easy, no issues. Challenge room 56, god-awful piece of mess. Oh, my God. It's so dreadfully impossible. I mean, it's like Super Meat Boy type platforming ridiculousness with a character who can't jump, mind you.
Oh, man. That's the key. It is the most jarring thing in the world going back to that game because, like, it's kind of a platformer, and you don't jump in that game, and it is so difficult to wrap your mind around that. It's like everything is done with the grappling hook. Everything is done with the grappling hook. Oh, man.
So it's remarkable of, like, the grappling hook tricks you need to learn to do Challenge Room 56. I mean, because like, nothing before that preps you for the absolute monstrosity that is that last room. So
how long is it?
There.
Like, if you were to do like a perfect run, is it like a 5-minute room, or like is it long, or is it just really hard?
I think you have 2.5 minutes. I think that's the timer.
Oh, okay.
And that's the problem. Like if you had unlimited time, you could get through it pretty easy. But the fact that you have to execute like 15 different perfect moves, like it's not at all easy. Watch a video. Like, I mean, because even if you watch the video, you're like, oh yeah, I could do that. No, you cannot.
I'll have to check it out. So, so I didn't get a lot of points this weekend, so I decided to pop in NBA 2K6, the old classic, and played that for about 45 minutes and got all the achievements, all 5 in that time. So that was nice.
Is that the one that you can set up so you get the infamous five achievements unlocked for 1,000 G?
5 for 1,000. It was awesome, man. I wish I could take a screenshot of that. That was great.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just needed
record that.
I know. I wish, but so I needed some points, so I just did that. And other than that, Titanfall Thursday, and that's pretty much it for my week. Kind of a quiet week.
Nice. You know, I was kind of all over the place. I got my standard sessions that I've been up to. Of course, I've been working on Rayman Legends. I got my 2 achievements for the month, right, for my Gamertag challenge. And now everything is just, I am 9 teensies away from preloading glory. And so that is set up and ready to go. I'm excited. Still have to go and check in, do my dailies. Boost. Oh, yeah. I got 900 TA just sitting there ready to go. So I'm excited about that. Here's a little PSA for everyone out there. Okay, so we're of course doing my hardcore character on Diablo 3 on the 360 vanilla version, and so before the match we went and backed up. Well, at least I did. I backed up my save on a thumb drive. Okay, I have a ton of thumb drives because that used to be my storage for my 360. I didn't have a lot of digital games, so I didn't need them, and so I would just buy a $3 hard drive every time they're on sale. So I just grabbed one, and it ended up being a 32 gig one. Okay, so what happened, and maybe I'm just doing this wrong, right? So I put the save game onto that hard. You move the game directly to the hard drive. And then I put it in my computer, and made a copy on my desktop. Well, it copied not just the save file, but it copied all the formatted 30 gigs worth of formatted space onto my computer.
Okay.
So that took, 40 minutes to do, or however long it took to transfer. It took a really long time to transfer. Like, this is dumb. So in the meantime, I was playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. I was trying to get Officer Dick like I said I would. And chipping away at those stupid challenges. I am not good at scoring points in that game.
Give it up.
Like I'm watching. The highest I've gotten, I need 400,000. The highest I've gotten is 292, and I cannot string enough combos together. Like I can do the rail combos and all that stuff, no problem. Like that, I'm fine with the manuals and the rails and doing that. But of course, they all dwindle in points as you keep doing them. And I just cannot get the rotations on those darn aerial tricks. Like, it's just a disaster.
It's too tough.
It's
broken. I'm telling you, that game is just broken.
It is really challenging. So finally, transfer save on my computer, great. So then I made a copy, put it back on the thumbstick, went back to the system, threw that thing on and started to play. So, we were running through the dungeon, and everyone needed to make a trip back to town. Well, I had just gotten there, so I didn't have that much. And so I was like, I'm just going to go back and clean up because, there's some garbage that they left on the floor. So I went and cleaned that thing up, and, there's some guys over there. I totally forgot that all the bad guys scale up. So, I was just shooting them with my crossbow, and I'm like, well, okay, I'll get them before they get here. And 3 big old brute dudes come by, and I'm like, they're not going down. It's not so good. So I turn to run, and I have a witch doctor, right? And so I was like, I'll use my evade move. And so I hit Y. Well, that's actually an evade backwards, but since I was running away, it evaded me in between all 3 of them. And they pounded me to death. So my level 12 hardcore character is dead. But I went back to the thumbstick, copied the file back over. Hey, it works. So as a proof of concept, this totally works. Find a smaller thumbstick, though, than 30 gigs.
Yeah. I think the key there might be when you formatted that particular thumbstick, because I think on the newer dashboard, they actually support standard formatting.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think you can actually, if you just get format the entire, not that thumbstick, obviously, because you can lose your save, but if you format your thumbstick just as a regular, NTFS drive or whatever, or FAT32 or something like that, and then you can put that in and save directly to it without having to reformat it.
Perfect.
And you'll actually be able to, I think you can just copy the files out that way.
Oh, that'd be nice. I've got a bunch of those sticks still.
If I was going to share a digital game with someone and they needed to download the files, theoretically, I would suggest that they format that, as Tarragon suggested, that they format that thumbstick on the new dashboard because it makes everything way easier.
The new, on the one? If I plug
the newest 360 dashboard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
because
you can pull. In theory,
theoretically, you can pull little bits and pieces out of there. You can just pull that 10 kilobyte save file out of there.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so nice.
Yeah,
yeah. Theoretically,
I'm going to give that a shot because I am reckless. I am super reckless in that game, and my character, I'm speccing him to be high damage, glass cannon. That's what I want to make. I want to make him a glass cannon, and he does not hold up well. Anyway, so that was fun. I'll look forward to playing that again next week. So apart from Tony Hawk, where I didn't get any achievements in that because that game is dreadful, but maybe I'll revisit it and try to get that random to-do list off there. I did end up playing some Destiny on Tuesday night, you're right. So I got in a party with Nerve Bullet and Saucy Slingo. The 3 of us partied up, and Skeptical Mario joined us as well. So the 3 in the party, right, because 3 is the only amount that you can do for some of the strikes and things like that. So we jumped into patrol, and Skeptical went in patrol as well. And there's a little trick, and it doesn't work as well, but it works plenty fine because he found us on the second try. Is we went into Archon's Forge. So Archon Forge is it's a battle arena within the patrol, and you can trigger these events, and you can have up to 6 people in there. 6, maybe 9. I think 6. You have 6 people up in there, but you can't party up with 6. You can only party up with 3. So the 3 of us go in there, and then Skeptical is at the transition, and he walks in to the room, sees if it loads into the server that we're on. If he doesn't see our names, he backs up, walks forward again, and he only had to go 2 or 3 times before, hey, look at that, all my friends are in there. And so he joined into our instance, and the 4 of us ran a bunch of Archon's Forge to get some loot, to get some leveling going. I know M, Big L, and I don't remember who was in the other the other party, but they were running a bunch of stuff in Destiny 2 last week. So everybody's chipping away doing their pieces here. I'm excited about that.
Even I'm doing stuff in Destiny.
Yeah, that's right.
So I've got my hunter up to level 40 in Destiny 360. So I'm basically
getting ready for
raid ready. I've still not quite raid ready, but I think I'm like level 220 now. So I've made quite a lot of progress in a short amount of time.
Yeah,
which, it really doesn't take very long.
No,
but getting from 220 to 240 or 240 plus or whatever it is you need for the raids, I think is going to be a bit of a slow grind, though.
Oh yeah, I forgot you are on the old version. It's not too bad because you can buy vendor stuff that gets you good boosts. Just got to be strong enough. Just got to be strong enough to be able to do the stuff that gets you the legendary marks to be able to do buy those things in the first place. And because it's 360, the matchmaking for things like strikes is not so great because there aren't that many people playing. So ending up in a strike by yourself. That's tough. That's tough.
Or the heroic story mission or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. There is an achievement for the new Rise of Iron where you have to play these bells. Sing the Iron Song, I think is what it's called. It's a secret achievement, and so I use one of Macca's guides to figure out the order, and technically you can do it with two people because one person has to be on the first bell, and then bells 2 through 5 are close enough where the guy can run. My recommendation to you, do it with 3 people. One person takes bell 2 and 3. The other person takes bell 4 and 5 because you got to be pretty quick. And you can tell, of course, Destiny suffers from the not popping achievements immediately syndrome, which is great for preloading, but it's also unnerving because you don't know if you did what you needed to do. So if you ever have achievements that don't lock, you have to go into the settings screen, log your character out, and log back in, and that reconnects with Bungie's servers and unlocks any achievement that you've done. Awesome, and they're all online, of course. So it's fantastic if you need quick points in GTIC and you've got some stuff saved up. But like I said, you don't know if you fulfilled the requirements, so it might be kind of a grab bag. For the bell achievement, the music crescendos as you finish it off, so you have a very good indication that you've done the achievement. And you got to be pretty quick with those things. The final Destiny thing is Saucy Slingo has posted. Saucy Slingo has posted video proof that Big L was one of the biggest contributors to killing us all in that raid. So if you go to Saucy's clips, you will see a video of us all lining up ready to go, and Saucy comes around a corner, and Big L just skipping right along, la-di-da-di-da-di-da, and he goes running into the maze completely by himself while we're all standing there ready to go, and boom, the Gorgon security camera goes off, and Big L is like, what did I do? That is exactly what happened that night. So you've heard it on last episode, and there's video proof. I did see
this video. It was pretty funny, and I didn't even know what was going on.
Yeah,
that was L's Leroy Jenkins moment, huh?
Yeah. Now, that being said, I had plenty of Leroy Jenkins moments in Battleborn. On Wednesday night, I ended up playing. We got 5 of us into. Was 5 or 4 of us into the few of the story missions. We were just tearing through those things. The achievements come pretty quick at the beginning. I got 9 achievements. I played like 3 story missions or whatever. And so they're going nice and fast. But if you're going to be playing that, I recommend you wait until January 19th. So by the time this episode comes out, that's right around the corner. January 19th is the winter update that is coming out for Battleborn, and they are unlocking all 25 characters from the start. So as it stands now, you get like 8 of them, and then to unlock a character, you have to beat this story mission, or get this many kills or do these events or whatever. And so it's not terrible, right? You have to kind of do that stuff to get the lore challenges anyway, but they're going to open it all up for you at the beginning. So a lot of changes coming with the new winter update that, in theory, should make life a lot easier. They already reduced all the achievement needs pretty darn low. They're still going to take quite a bit of time, right? I mean, like one of the characters, Montana, right? The big, Patrick Warburton tick type character who's just a bullet sponge with a giant chain gun. One of his lore challenges is absorb 1 million points of damage. Okay, well, that's just going to take some time. There's not really a good way to circumvent that. You're just going to end up keep playing the game, playing through, because you're going to get your command rank up. Now, I haven't heard if there will be achievements with this winter update. Gearbox is increasing the level cap, so your commander rank, there's an achievement for getting it up to 100. That is the collective rank of all of your characters, up to 100. It's going up to 150, and each Battleborn, the individual characters, can get up to level 15 currently. That is going up to level 20. So there's an achievement for getting one of them to level 15. There's an achievement for getting command rank 100. Something tells me title update achievements are going to push that so you come back for level 200 and level 20. So if you've got it already completed, something tells me that might change. Of course, there's DLC characters coming out. I think there's another character slated to come out here in the near future as part of this winter update. I think the week after. So keep your eyes out for that, but it was fun. I'm actually really enjoying this game. It's the Gearbox kind of Borderlands humor is in there. So if you like that, you might find this kind of funny. Gameplay's pretty good, but yeah. Finally, the last thing I want to mention on here is Titanfall. Okay, we Brew and I talk about this all the time because we play it. Hopefully we can find a way to get the stream going so others can enjoy the camaraderie we have. But this game is going to break me. So party stuff aside, the party's going great. We're having, like I said, tons of fun. There's that campaign achievement that I've mentioned before, and I'm pretty sure this game has it out for me. So there's a single...
That's what I'm saying with Perfect Dark Zero.
Yeah. There's a single level, and of course there's two sides, the IMC or the militia. So I need this single level with the IMC. And so big thanks to Stushnikin, who... when I came in, there were 13 people, right? Well, it's only 12-man lobbies. And so Stush said, I'm not really working on anything. I'm just leveling up right now. I don't need any achievements or anything. So I'm going to go play campaign. And if I come up to that level that Freem needs, he can jump in and join my session. Oh, that's brilliant. And so we were playing, and all of a sudden he's like, hey, okay, I'm 2 levels away from the one you need. You should try joining up with me. Sure enough, I join up. And we play one mission, comes to the next one. There it is. Made Men. That's what I need. Stush and I are in a party together, and you're in the preloading screen. And I see, you've got the 2 columns of people. The left column where we're at and the right column, and they haven't picked teams yet. And then, bam, it flashes. IMC, and I'm in that column. Militia, the other team. This is great. And I look at the names. That was the team that won last time. I think we got a good team. I think we got good players. Okay, this is it, Stush. You and me can do this. We load into the helicopter, and the frickin' militia emblem shows up. They switched our team in the loading screen. The lobby was what I wanted, and then it switched me in the loading screen. I can't. I have no words.
That's some Perfect Dark Zero stuff right there.
If you were recording my audio for that, and I know Big L was Big L was wishing that you had video of that because it got real quiet, and that was a profanity laced tirade into the game. It was. I hit the mute button and just let her fly because I was not a happy camper. One of these days, guys, I will triumphantly say that I got that darn achievement, but not today. Not today. let's turn to some happier stuff, right?
No.
You don't want to? I want to. We got a new podcast review. Southwest Car 21 sent us an iTunes podcast review. He said, I'm new to the podcasting, and I'm loving this one and the cast. Hey, that's fantastic. Thank you, sir. We totally appreciate that. That was back on December 21st. Now, question for you, Randy. This was left on my friend feed from a few weeks ago, but it's been a while since you've been on the show.
I know. I was thinking that today. It's been like 3 weeks or something because I missed the last one.
Yeah. R56 Cooper S11 asks, if there's a drought in the United States, what happens to Randy's rain cloud? Do you have an answer?
Pretty rainy. It's pretty rainy.
It can maintain the rain even without moisture, huh?
Yeah, it defies the laws of stuff.
Does it become like a dust
sand
devil
rain cloud?
Yeah,
like it rains sand.
Sand rain cloud. Oh man, I don't know what that would look like, but I'm all right. I'm on board.
It looks just like a rain cloud, but instead of rain, there's sand.
That sounds like painful.
Not happy, and not happy sand either.
No, like sandstorm sand.
Yeah, that sounds like real painful.
Like sand in your underpants kind of sand.
Oh no.
Hey, so while we were playing Titanfall, Alex shows up because we switched into afternoon Australia time, and he had the day off on Friday, so he showed up to our Titanfall. We played a little bit, but boy, he was really excited. Tarragon, you want to tell us why?
Well, he's actually starting his own YouTube thingy, and he needed some equipment, and we just got talking about it. He actually bought some stuff off me. He's in Melbourne, same as me, so he bought my Yeti microphone that I had spare and a webcam, and so he actually met me in person. He came to my workplace and picked that up. So yeah, hi Alex, nice to meet you. And and that was that Friday morning he came by. So
he said he could beat you in a fight.
He probably could.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. He didn't say that.
Okay. He probably could. You see, comparative height, he's actually quite tall. So,
is he?
Compared to me, anyway.
He has a pretty deep, booming Australian voice. So that's fun. I'm glad you guys.
We just all sound like that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm glad you guys got to meet. That's great.
Does he fight kangaroos? Is the real question.
Oh, there we go.
Well, come on. We all fight kangaroos.
That's true. I mean, that's a given. I mean,
that's
Canadians wrestle polar bears.
It's part of the citizenship test here. If you want to become an Australian citizen,
you have to successfully wrestle. You have to
go through the gauntlet.
Kangaroo.
You have to go through all of the gauntlet of all of the Australian wildlife. You start small with the small spiders, and you work up to the koala, and then the kangaroo, and then finally you've got to beat the drop bear.
Well, where does the hyena fit into there? Or the dingo?
Well, the dingo's in there. It's part of the regular gauntlet. But you got to get through all of that gauntlet, and then you can get to the citizenship test, where they ask you about barbies and shrimps.
Yeah. Clearly, no babies ever make it through that test.
No, they don't. They must.
They never make it past the dingoes.
That's why most pregnant women give birth at the testing facility. Yeah, they make it through carrying their unborn child and then give birth on the other side.
I would love to see the chart, the escalation chart.
They've got to at least get past the dingoes. I mean, the drop bears and kangaroos not so bad, but the dingoes.
Well, they're their baby's weakness.
There is actually an ER between the dingo and the drop perfect and the kangaroo where you can give birth and then
you may now give birth.
Just real quick, right? Pop a squat, get the kid out.
That's right.
Yeah,
get the kid out, and then it's safe to proceed through the rest of the gauntlet.
Perfect.
Become a true Australian.
There you go. Hey guys, we got some really great community news, greater community achievement news. There is a new member of the 1 Million Gamerscore Club. And we didn't announce this before, but Arnaldo DK, he actually hit his 1 million back on January 5th. And today, January 13th, a brand new one, Rafael Gerardo. He becomes the newest member. He's number 14. And he did it.
So it's becoming a bit passé now, really, isn't it?
The 14th? Yeah, I think we'll stop talking soon. I think the next person... Next guy is pretty darn close, too. But he hit it right on the head, million on the dot, with the achievement All About the Points in Dead Rising 4.
Nice.
I like it. I like it. So congratulations, Raphael. That's awesome. Now, to some not awesome news. Biggest news of the week, right? Scalebound officially canceled.
Talking about this. Yep.
That's
this
crazy.
Is making a lot of people really rainy.
Really is.
It's fueling my raininess.
Oh yeah, I think I sort of wanted to weigh in on this one a little bit because it's not really so much about Scalebound itself because it really wasn't on my radar and I had no interest in the game itself. But I guess the thing that's interesting is that there are now very few exclusives for the Xbox beyond the big sort of three franchises, the Forza, the Halo, the Gears. There's very few other exclusives now, and that's just another exclusive that they've kind of cancelled in the last couple of years. So it's got a lot of people rattled, I think, about where Microsoft and where Xbox is going, at least as a console. Because if they don't have the exclusives, does that matter? Does it matter if there aren't, or there are only a few exclusives? Certainly PlayStation sort of sells itself on its exclusives, you would think. But
let me contradict you just a bit here. Now, we're looking at Fable Legends. We're looking at Scalebound. I mean, yes, we're losing. These games are being canceled, which is shocking to me that they're just outright canceling games with all the assets that have been generated and playable demos and whatnot. I mean, if the game's not fun, but you'd like to think you can salvage something out of that. And maybe they are. I guess I don't know. But aren't these games still like the last vestiges of the Don Matrick Xbox era? I mean, could it be that the Phil Spencer led Microsoft IPs just haven't come to light yet because they haven't had enough development time to create these things from scratch?
Perhaps, but I mean, which studios are doing that? I mean, you look at Fable, for example. They actually shut the studio down. They aren't working on anything else because they don't exist anymore. Platinum are working on other things. They haven't been shut down, but I guess there's been a bunch of other things like. You look at Project Spark and a bunch of other little internal Microsoft teams that they had going for a bunch of stuff. They all got shut down. So you've got Lionhead, which have gone. You've got this Platinum Games game, which is gone. They're apparently working on three other titles or something like that.
Yeah, but Platinum, their other divisions are all doing those crappy ports to just quick make a buck. Yeah,
so you kind of wonder, if Xbox does have exclusives tucked away somewhere, who's doing it? Because most of the places that would have done them are kind of gone. The only one I can think of is Rare. And, I mean, they've got Sea of Thieves, but I don't see that being the next big super-duper AAA exclusive that you sell consoles with.
They are hanging their hat on it, though. I mean, they're really putting a lot into that one.
Yeah, I'm dubious. I'm dubious about its legs in that respect. But
I think too part of this doom and gloom also is the fact that the hangers on that we have at this point also aren't the heavy hitters that they used to be. So Halo 5 and Gears 4 were successful, I'm sure, but they're not changing the world like the way that they used to as well. So it's kind of you've got these two different aspects. Yeah. It's like all the new stuff that might be coming out that could be the new awesome. Now they're getting canceled. And the old stuff that the reliable kind of stuff is I don't want to say fading away or anything like that, but it certainly doesn't have the impact that it used to have.
Well, they're not setting the world on fire, that's for sure. I mean, Forza is, but that's the exception out of the big three, I think. Yeah. Sorry, Randy.
Forza is probably going to change as it kind of peaks, just like all the other ones. I mean, you look at Halo. Like I was kind of not a fan of Halo when it first came out. Then I got playing the multiplayer bit of it, and I really got into it. I really liked it. And I really liked Halo for a long time, even up to Halo 4. People kind of dumped on Halo 4 a bit, but I enjoyed the multiplayer aspect. But from that point forward, I enjoyed it, but at the same time, it was kind of, okay, that's really they're just kind of milking it at this point. Like it had too many flaws, and it wasn't like a Halo experience was. And now there's Halo 5 that's just, I don't know, that doesn't even resemble Halo to me.
Yeah, Halo 5's multiplayer, on the other hand, actually, like the people who play that love it. So it's actually highly regarded. So I don't know how that fits in.
I don't know
with your thinking,
but it's just, you look at somebody. I mean, maybe I'm an exception, but somebody, and the same with Gears of War. I really like Gears of War 1. Gears of War 2 was all right. I played Gears of War 3. I did not like it because the same thing just kind of drifted too far away from what I really enjoyed on the first one. And then now it's just totally gone, does not resemble what Gears of War meant to me. And I don't know, maybe I'm an exception, but I feel like I wouldn't be the only person that thinks that way, that's been with Xbox for a long time and kind of, is not seeing anything new, where it's just the same thing rehashed over and over and over again every year. And you've got your 3 games that are rehashed every year, and people are going to get sick of them.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have anything new coming out to say, hey, buy an Xbox. It's like, oh, okay, well, I can have Gears of War 16 this year. Great. Just like Madden 300. It's people are going to get sick of it.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it means for Xbox. I don't know what it means for the Scorpio. What's going to be released with the Scorpio, and how is it going to be sort of marketed, or how's it going to fit in? If it's basically just a better Xbox and there's no sort of nothing special you buy specifically for it. I mean, why buy a Scorpio if you're just getting the same old stuff?
Well, a lot of this that same old stuff is going to look so much better because it's so much more powerful than the PS4 Pro.
The other thing, too, though, is if the Scorpio, as they keep saying, is going to play, the Xbox One is going to play everything the Scorpio plays, that takes away even more of a selling point because, okay, I don't have a 4K TV. What do I care? If everything, I still don't believe that. I don't believe that one bit, at least not after like the first 6 months or something. Somebody is going to want to make a game that only runs on the Scorpio, period.
Yeah, and that's going to eventually happen. Eventually, the Scorpio will become the only Xbox, and then you'll have the whatever's beyond the Scorpio being the next sort of generation.
I'm just thinking it's going to happen really quickly, like 6 months, like under a year in. I think that's going to happen, and I really dislike the way they're marketing it.
I don't see it being a year. I see the Scorpio being the only, or taking over as the Xbox console in maybe 2 to 3 years after its release, and the Xbox One S being sort of filtered out after that time. But the price would have to come down. And what do you mean?
But I mean, like, there's going to be some games that are made for just the Scorpio. I don't mean it's going to replace the Xbox One, but I think there's going to be some developers that say, hey, we really want to take advantage of this hardware, not for graphics, but for detail, and make a game that is too big for the Xbox One. And kind of the way the Scorpio is being marketed is like, oh, it's just better graphics, but for how long?
I guess that's what it comes down to, is the developers need to make a lot of concessions to make things work on the Xbox One standard versus the Xbox One Scorpio. Is it just as simple as turning off detail level and turning off the number of objects on screen? It's, I guess it's going to be an interesting time, and it'll be interesting to see how the developers sort of deal with that particular
here's the thing. They don't have to make that decision now. They can see what the adherence rate is, how many people are buying it, and then they can make that, have the announcement of, games.
They kind of do need to be thinking about it now if they want to drop.
I'm sure they're thinking about it.
And, it's and I'm sure that they've been given the developer sort of, not the kit because I don't know that it's out yet, but they've been given the specs and what to aim for, and so they know what they can build into it and what they can target. But it's going to, if developers aren't supporting it from release, as in if you can't buy a Scorpio and immediately see an improvement in some games, there is absolutely no point having the Scorpio out. If all the games look exactly the same as they do on the stock Xbox One, then what's the point? So developers have to be looking at it now. That would be part of Microsoft's strategy, is to get developers working on that now. So I'm just not sure there's going to be enough out there. I mean, I'm certainly not looking to upgrade my monitor or anything like that. So I guess I kind of have to wonder, even though I'm probably going to get one on day one anyway. But it's I kind of have to wonder what I'm actually going to get out of that. So I guess we'll see.
Well,
I mean,
we just
at the very least, they'll hopefully release another day one achievement with it.
There you go. But
see, that's what I'm hoping they don't do, because then I'm gonna be like, oh, I gotta get one of these. I don't have any money. Then I'm gonna be like, oh, I have to buy one of these. That's achievement cards.
Yep.
Speaking of that, I have a day one achievement card that I should sell because I have an extra one.
Hey, we could give it away on the podcast
or
and
give
stuff.
to a friend. Yeah, totally.
So here's the thing, right?
For it. That's the thing.
We just had this week the Switch reveal. They came out with a lot of information, pricing, a bunch of games and stuff. I mean, are you seeing some of the games that they're touting with this? I mean, it's just garbage demo titles again. Like, I'm watching people milk cows, eat sandwiches, and it's all WarioWare garbage. And it's
Which is fun in WarioWare.
Hey, I was going to say, you leave WarioWare out of this. WarioWare
It's fun for 20 seconds.
That is one Nintendo thing I will stand up for is WarioWare, because I love WarioWare a lot.
It's fun for 20 seconds.
Yeah, but
it's
it's WarioWare in high definition, guys. Come on.
Yeah, but if
that's
it
the
doesn't
thing.
have the WarioWare hub, thing, then it's no good. If it's just like you just play that micro game, no, that doesn't work. It's got to be in WarioWare.
I'm just thinking, like, none of the exclusives I've seen aside from Zelda right now, and I need to see a little bit more of Mario. I mean, I'm slightly intrigued, but their launch lineup is not. I mean, it's not very impressive, and Nintendo's the king of special IP. I mean, that's all they have is first party development, because nobody wants to do any business with them. Great. They got Ubisoft.
I think I summed it up in Discord by just saying "oof." And that was pretty much my entire thoughts of it, particularly on the price as well. The price was more expensive than I expected. Yeah, and particularly as I can't see it being on the same power level as the other current generation consoles. I just can't see it in a form factor that small. So I guess we'll have to wait and see.
The specs are 720 on the tablet and 1080 on the dock.
Okay.
I mean,
the other thing too is
I don't remember what the frames there were though.
It's like, and if it does have the guts of, say, an Xbox One in that tiny little tablet, that thing is going to melt. Because feel how hot an Xbox One gets when it's working. Now imagine if it was like a tenth the size with no vents.
We have some
sitting on your
Galaxy
on your
Notes.
crotch. Yeah,
Exactly. It's gonna melt.
That'll be the new Galaxy Note. We're gonna have some torch switches. Yeah. That's what we'll change the name to. The Nintendo Torch.
Yeah, that thing's not going to be allowed on planes.
Yeah.
Well, and then I was talking when we were playing. Prue and I were playing Saints Row before the show, and we were kind of talking about it a little bit. And it's like, what did they say? Something like 2.5 to 5 hours of battery life or something. It's like, with a battery life that short, and I'm guessing it's probably more like 2.5 if you're actually using it. What's the point of it even being mobile? Is like you hardly get any use out of it.
I look at my son.
It's enough for a commute. But
yeah, that's what I was going to say. I look at my son who sits in the back seat and plays for 15 minutes on my way to my, to daycare. And like, that's his gaming time. And I'm like, he doesn't need, I mean, it's actually a great system for him. But guess what? He's 8 years old. He doesn't have $300 to go throwing around to another system.
Yeah. Well, and they're presenting this as like this great, like, oh, you can take it anywhere and play it all the time, wherever you want. It's like, yeah, for as long as you're not out for more than 2 hours.
Yeah. Rooftop parties, baby.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Yeah. And even the controllers, you can buy like the Pro controllers. Guess how much they are in Australia?
What are
They're like $100, aren't they?
$100.
Yeah.
$100 Australian. I mean, which is, that's expensive. That's fine. In the UK, guess how much they are?
40?
€100.
Oh,
what?
Dear.
Wait, 100 euros or 100 pounds?
100 pounds, sorry. Yeah, it's like...
Which is even worse.
WTF. I mean, seriously.
£100. £100 is not $100 Australian.
No, it's not.
That's like double.
Not at all. Yeah. So I don't know what the hell's going on there, but it's ridiculous.
They've backed themselves into a corner. They backed themselves into a corner with the Wii. That was such a ridiculous success, and for all the right and wrong reasons. And they just think that they need to keep doing these kinds of novelties, these things that obviously didn't work with the Wii U. It's likely not to work with the Switch. But they don't. What do? I mean, they're not going to be able to re-jump back into the market with Xbox and PlayStation. So I don't know. I feel like I feel almost bad for them because they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And I don't really know. I don't have the right answer. I don't know. I don't know what I would even do if I was Nintendo.
I guess the question to ask here is who will actually buy the Switch? Who is it for? Because it's certainly not for traditional sort of console gamers. I think it's for, well, yeah, I'm not sure. It's just I know it's not for me. It's not something that I'm interested in.
I don't know anybody that it's for.
I think it's kids.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kids.
I think it's a younger age group.
Yeah, it's the kids who are playing on tablets right now. It's the kids who have a portable device that they can just go sit on the couch somewhere. Mom and dad can still watch TV because it's not, taking over the screen, and they can go do their own thing. And so mom and dad are going to buy it for them. And then, I mean, maybe they're playing the long game, right? Okay, we get them kids in, and now all of a sudden, when they get a little older, they're going to be clamoring for that Nintendo Switch 2 or whatever comes out after. Because we all think. Yeah, but we all think very fondly of our experiences with Nintendo. Like, I have great spot in my heart. We were just talking off air about the that Brawl Out game that it's a complete ripoff of Smash Brothers, and how excited we are that somebody has finally blatantly ripped off Smash Brothers so I can play it on my Xbox. Like, I crave experiences like that. They're so wonderful, but I don't want a lesser hardware that doesn't have achievements. Like, those are two strikes against me that really, really just don't sit well.
I guess the other thing that's really sort of not great with Nintendo is that their online services are just junk. I mean, you look at the Xbox Live community, you even look at the PlayStation community, you look at the way that those sort of friends lists work, parties work, that sort of thing. You've never had things like that on Nintendo that really work well seamlessly that are part of the games that you're playing. I've always found those things to be extremely clunky on Nintendo, and nowhere near as fleshed out or well working. Even at its worst on Xbox, when parties are a bit flaky or whatnot, it's still better than what Nintendo have to offer in any of their titles.
I'm sorry, Tarragon, you don't want to exchange a 20-digit code with me to be my friend? I don't. What's the problem here?
Are they still using those stupid 20-digit codes?
Put it on your business card. Yeah. No, it's bad. I don't even remember the last time I did it. Oh, actually, I played Pokemon, but that was with a friend of mine. But I had his information saved. But yeah, I believe they were still using friend codes.
Yeah, there's still an equivalent of a friend code. So they don't have anything that's kind of human readable and easy to exchange. You can't say, just look me up. I'm blah, blah, blah.
Aren't tied to any account or anything, are they? Like, they're just tied to like the console you buy it on. So like, if you replace your DS, it's just gone. Or did they finally
I don't know.
That?
I've only ever had one.
I think the 3DS, if you get purchases, it's tied to an account. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that is. But I'm not sure about the Wii. I think that is as well. But yeah, I'm not too sure. But yeah, I mean, the online services is probably where they lack. And I guess for a lot of people who are older gamers, they have a lot of friends they have the console and they have their friends that are there, and that's where they go to. And that's probably a lot of the reason they stay with a particular console is because all of their friends are there.
I remember
the Switch.
It was a
Nintendo
pretty big blow when most of my friends switched over to PlayStation, because like we used to play Xbox all the time, and then all of their Xboxes broke, and they're like, I don't want to pay for online anymore, so I got a PlayStation. Yeah. And everyone else was doing it too, so it was like, yeah. Friends are a big deal.
And that's a big draw. I mean, I guess you will have friends on your Nintendo, but I feel that's much, much more local. And I don't know.
Let's bring this. Let's bring this back to Xbox, right? So now we've seen what a new launch is, right? And we've seen through both PlayStation and Nintendo now new hardware launches, and neither of them have done. The excitement is very high for Switch. Pre-orders are going out like nuts. It'll be really interesting to see where those numbers go. PlayStation 4 Pro, I mean, that didn't light the world on fire. I mean, that was probably more of an iterative thing than a full-blown, what we're seeing here with the Switch. Indications are that Scorpio is going to be also iterative, but a kind of a bigger leap in the iterative nature. And we got E3 right around the corner, right? So at some point between now and E3, if the Scorpio is on track to be completed for this fall, which we have every indication that it will be, there would be a console announcement here. And then you have to think that we are expected to get a flurry of games that will be available on the Scorpio to be announced at E3. Okay, now of those, what are we thinking might be exclusive to Xbox versus what's just the next iteration of Xbox? Now, the one thing I will say is by looking at the PlayStation model between today and when they launched, 3 years ago now? 4 years? How old are our consoles? Anyway,
2013.
So 3 years ago.
3 years.
The number of IP that Sony has, right? The exclusives compared to Microsoft. Taking indie games out of it, right? Because now that's kind of opened up. I'm talking about first party. There's not that much. I mean, everything that people are excited for is all stuff that's still coming, right? Remember all the past two E3s and how people freaked out over all the stuff coming in 2018? Like, yes, they've got some really great properties that, Uncharted, finally came out. Final Fantasy, it's going to take some time. The Horizon Zero Dawn, that looks really great. That's coming up here in the near future. Days Gone, when's that going to come out? Those types of titles, yes, there's a lot of clamor, there's a lot of excitement for it, but we're still just as far out as what I think Microsoft's going to be announcing here at the upcoming E3. That they're gonna compete head to head in that, and it's like, let's just show them what the top level hardware is going to do in Ubisoft's 2017 Assassin's Creed game. And oh my god, you know how awesome Madden's going to look.
But again, they're not exclusives. I mean, we're just looking at a console that is playing the same games as the competition, just a bit better.
But that's exactly what Sony did and got a 40 million, console lead because they marketed it better. I don't disagree. Okay.
I'm not saying this is necessarily a bad thing, and I actually don't really rate the exclusives as being the thing that keeps me on the console. And I'm not even sure that getting rid of exclusives is such a bad thing. Personally, I'd prefer to be able to play any game that I want on the console that I choose. So in that sense, exclusives really annoy me. I'd love to play Uncharted. I'd love to play Last of Us. I'd love to play all those games, but I'd like to get achievements for them, not trophies. And I don't want to buy. I don't want to spend double the money to get another console for it. So my thinking was more not so much that this is necessarily a bad thing. It's just I'm not quite sure what it means. I wonder is that the direction that Microsoft are going? Is that the plan going forward? And is that how the modern console world will be? Is that there will be no exclusives or very few exclusives, and that really it is just about a hardware fight? And in that case, what's to stop people just going to PC, where that is the master race as far as hardware goes? I guess that's
it's accessibility for that. I mean, I would love to build a rig.
Expensive.
Yeah, but you have a lot of flexibility though. It's expensive on the front end, but I mean, you can iterate.
Expensive on consoles. If that's what happens with consoles, that means we're going to be buying a new console every 3 years, 2-3 years.
Yeah, I guess the other side of that is
constantly.
The other side of that is that we buy a new phone every 3 years or less. I mean, what's the difference?
But part of the draw for me to console gaming is that I don't have to drop money on hardware all the time. It's like you just buy it and it's good for a long time and it plays games pretty well. And I don't have to deal with it. I don't have to worry about it not working. I just plug it in, it works, and it works for a substantial period of time.
Yeah, but most people
what if
don't pay money for phones either. Most people wait for their $0 phone and they lock into a 2-year deal. And it's like, well, I'm not paying.
Yeah,
I'm getting the phone for free.
Are we looking at contracts on game consoles now?
Well, I mean, we already pay for Live. What's to say?
Exactly.
Leasing out
your Xbox Live.
I don't want to not own my console.
Oh, I agree. I think that
sounds
sounds terrible.
That contract system.
You don't have to not own your phone either. You can buy your phone outright if you want.
Buy it outright.
I do buy my phone outright.
Well, hang on. But
for the same reason.
Right, Prue, take us back. What do you want to say?
I feel like we're missing. I'm surprised it hasn't come up in this conversation. You were just talking about what are the exclusives going to be? What is it? I mean, isn't kind of not even a secret, but wasn't the entire Scorpio premise? Isn't the whole reason that they're doing it basically for VR purposes? I mean, in case this thing
actually explicitly, well, not explicitly said it, but I mean, Phil has gone on record to basically say, I'm not really sure that VR is where it's at. I'm just waiting and seeing. And the PlayStation Pro was about that, and from all accounts, VR has not sold very well. It's just not selling.
Yeah, that's fine. I get that. But what I'm saying is the reason that I think probably one of the big reasons that they even had this system coming in now was in case VR took off, so that they could. So maybe, and I kind of still half expect them to announce like an Oculus partnership at E3 this year, and then we're going to see Halo VR and Gears VR and all this nonsense. I don't know. Maybe it won't happen. That's fine, because 2 years ago, how the winds were shifting are different than how they're shifting now. But I do feel like they probably have at least had something in place for that.
Yeah. Save it for your E3 bingo card. There'll be one. I promise you.
Oh, there'll be a Rain Cloud round 2 this year.
But I think they. I mean, if we continue with their messaging from last year, they're positioning themselves to coincide with PC. The Xbox PC community, so that they kind of create a unified front to combat Sony's massive lead, and that you'll see. I mean, when we talk about exclusives, I think you might have Microsoft exclusives, but they'll be played on both. They're not going to shortchange the PC crowd. And you can play Xbox on your PlayStation. Do you know that? You can wire it through your VR headset, so you can put on the so you can play. You have your little movie theater experience playing the Xbox One through your PS VR.
Yeah, that's not quite the same. It's like buying 2 consoles and 2. Yeah, no, okay. I had a point there, and now I've totally forgotten it.
I think most of the IP that you're looking for, Tarragon, is unannounced. I think the development team, the mainline development teams are working on the things that we expect year in and year out, but like Prue said earlier, Halo, I mean, there will be another Halo. There will be Halo 6. There's definitely going to be a Gears 5, Forza Motorsport 7, Forza Horizon 4. Like, those will exist, but there will come a time, and I mean, even now, we're looking at Call of Duty Infinite Warfare is not selling like previous Call of Duties. But
that's still selling pretty well.
Exactly. They had a bajillion people, and now they have half a bajillion people, and that's still pretty good money. Okay, well, other titles don't have that user base, and so when they start to dwindle, now they're cutting much closer to profitability, and now you need to reinvigorate. And so, okay, can they take ReCore and figure out a way to spice that up? Can you come up with, is there a spin-off of a game that we have that, a Forza Burnout hybrid that people are excited about? Is there anything you can do with Fable and, that the IP is still there? Can you resurrect that somehow? All those different things that you can spin to try and take the properties that people like and launch those for your own console. And maybe let's go ahead and say, you know what, let's just throw some money at it. You know what, we're going to, just like we did with Tomb Raider, we're going to buy a year of exclusivity for Tomb Raider.
Yeah, except Phil has actually specifically said he doesn't want to do that. He does not want to. He doesn't see the need to go and buy or put money into making something exclusive for the console, for the Xbox. So it'd be nice if that were to happen, and it certainly has happened in the past. But Phil has said that he doesn't want to do that,
and I'm actually glad he doesn't want to do that.
It kind of looks like that's happening with Dead Rising, though. Still, even Dead Rising 4 didn't come out on PlayStation. Dead Rising 3 didn't come out on PlayStation.
Maybe that was previous contracts or something like that. I don't know. He said, I think from what I gather from what Phil has said, he's basically certainly not negotiating new contracts in that direction. So yeah. Anyway,
and we did forget that home run of an exclusive Dead Rising 4, and don't forget.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people like that game, even though Dead Rising fans of old don't.
And then, of course, don't forget Crackdown 3. That's definitely coming. It's definitely not canceled, guys.
Well,
it's definitely not vaporware.
It's not canceled yet. We'll see. That's kind of being
that will
considered.
Be a Scorpio game.
That's considered to be the game that will come out with Scorpio and will be the sort of the showcase for the hardware. But I don't know. It just seems like it's been so quiet from Crackdown.
Oh,
for a
and
while.
it just it was like overnight. Like they had all this stuff, like, because I followed them on Twitter for a bit, and it was like they had all this stuff going. Like, we're gonna do all this, and then it just went dead silent. Like
which is a bit worrying.
It was just gone.
It's just worrying. It's just weird.
And
so it's like they hit a brick wall with something, and then they needed all this extra time to get past whatever it was, and then the Scorpio got announced, and they decided, well, we're going to aim for that now. I don't know. I'm completely guessing.
Another thing I wonder too,
it feels a bit funny.
Is Crackdown 3 was this game like, oh well, it's going to use all this server side processing that we never saw any of in any game. You know, that Xbox One is going to be the most powerful console in the world, and Crackdown 3 is going to make it that. And it's like, well, now if it's a Scorpio game, how is it going to run on the Xbox One?
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Right.
But the thing about the cloud stuff is we do see it. It was actually seen in Forza 5, and the Forza's basically all of the driver task stuff is all cloud computing controlled. So it's worth So it is out there. I don't know whether it's been.
I guess it's pretty small, but I mean, it made it sound like a thing. Like, we're going to have these giant games with all these crazy like buildings falling down. And then
I don't know if the take up of it has been as high as it might have been touted at the beginning. I remember my point from before, because you, Freem, you were mentioning that Microsoft were targeting the PC market as well. But what you failed to mention there is that there's the giant on PC, which is Steam. So if they go into the PC side of things and they're trying to expand Xbox, the Xbox side of things by moving to PC and making this big conglomerate kind of platform, that's fine. But now they're fighting a war on two fronts. They're fighting against Steam as well, not just PlayStation. So it's sort of, they're expanding, but they're also making things more difficult for themselves by doing that, I think.
And I don't think the Microsoft Store on PC is doing too well.
No,
people like it.
I didn't think it was necessarily that it would directly compete, but more try to create a hybrid, just coexist, right? Because they're still selling. I mean, so the Xbox brand is still being maintained, and they're selling Microsoft component, software and into the PCs that are being made. So they're indirectly benefiting from Steam's popularity. Yes, they would love the Windows Store to, be where everyone gets their games and stuff, but I agree. I don't think that's likely.
I really look at it like another Games Windows Live is they tried to do this thing where like you have to go through our system, you have to sign up for this, you have to have Windows 10, you have to do this, and people were just like, okay, I just won't play them. I mean, that was like Games Windows Live. It was the same thing. It was like, you have to sign up for this. You have to pay. Well, that was the other thing, is they initially had a paywall on Games Windows Live, which was a terrible idea.
Yeah, they got rid of that, didn't they?
Very quickly. But, I mean, the damage was done, and it was still just generally, people didn't want to deal with another thing like Steam. Like
I guess the thing about Games Windows Live is it just wasn't very good either. It just wasn't reliable. It was extremely crashy until they finally got sort of the latest updates out. It was just trash. And compared to what Steam were offering in contrast, Steam just won. They had the better product.
No,
There it is.
I'm not a fan of Steam either. At all.
So we've
not saying
heard.
Steam are great, but they've certainly got that market cornered.
Really am not a fan of Steam. And the thing that I don't get with Steam is like people are so okay with it. And that's what I don't get.
Well,
it just baffles me.
People are okay with it because games generally end up being super, super cheap. And the thing is that when it comes right down to it, you can overlook most things that you dislike about something if the price is right.
But I don't know, like disc copy, most of the games for PC that I was buying, the disc copy was cheaper than the Steam version.
Yeah, but I can, spend $50 and get 300 games on Steam that I'll never play.
Yeah, that's true.
Not that's much different from my experience now, but moving on.
Look, I'm not terribly happy with Comcast, but I'm stuck with these clowns. So,
yeah, you don't have another but see, you're not happy with it. You're stuck with it because you don't have another choice. Steam.
There are other choices, they're just not as good.
But people are happy with Steam. Like, they're stuck with Steam as the only choice, and they're happy with it. See, you're stuck with Comcast as the only, like, realistic choice, but you hate it.
Yeah.
That's the difference. It's like, it's one thing to be stuck with it because it's the only thing. It's another thing to be stuck with it because it's the only thing, and then like it.
Yeah, well, is that true though? I mean,
Stockholm syndrome.
Do people really love Steam that much, or they just love the fact that they've got a platform they can get the games on cheap or get them whatever way.
That's what I'm thinking.
I see a lot. I do see a lot of people actually going outside of Steam now. If games are available elsewhere, they will end up going around it because they're just a bit sick of Steam.
Is that just in the achievement community though, or is that in general PC?
No, that's in general. That's in PC gaming. I'm pretty sure there is a general, possibly a resentment of Steam brewing. The thing is, no matter how well loved the brand is, if they start doing things that aren't great, then sentiment will change. You can just look at Apple. I mean, Apple recently, the few of the things that they've done with their latest MacBook Pros and their latest phones, not really that great, not very well received. And as a result, the brand is just a little bit on the nose now. And you've still got your zealots that love everything that Apple do, but even people who I know at my work, for example, who are super pro Apple, are just going, well, that's a bit crap. and they start looking at the alternatives. So it doesn't really matter how well loved something is. If they start doing things that are bad, and if the competitor starts looking good in that kind of light, then yeah, you will start to lose people.
I guess you do have the real competitor now. I mean, not anywhere near level of Steam, but good old games. And I mean, they get new stuff too sometimes, which is basically Steam, but completely DRM free, which is basically my biggest issue with Steam is that you have no, like, those games are totally controlled by Steam in like every single way, to the point that it's like, I don't even feel like I kind of own this. It's way worse than, like, I know that's the case with digital content on Xbox too, but with Steam, it's like a whole nother level.
Well, the thing that really annoys me about Steam is the mandatory updates that you have zero control over.
Yeah.
And particularly the ones that take away functionality of the game. People have probably heard my Batman Arkham City story several times, but it's patching out the Xbox Live achievements underneath me without giving me the option to choose or have consent to that particular update. That is beyond frustrating.
And then on top of that, if you did manage to stop it, if you tried to launch it online, it would have forced you to install that update. There would have been no way, no choice.
Well, that's the thing is, if you launched it and Steam was online, it would say you need to update now, and then it would just start. And even if you turned off Steam again and relaunched the game would be in a state where it is saying, "I'm waiting for an update. I'm not going to start. Sorry." Nothing else done to the game. They've just turned on a flag that says, "I need to update now," and that means you cannot play the game. And it's like, come on! Well, I don't want that update because you're going to kill the main thing that I bought the game for.
The other thing too with that situation is, even achievements aside, if you had started that game on PC, say you're 1.5, 2.5 playthroughs in, that also deleted your save.
Yeah.
So even if you despise Games Windows Live, you're probably going to stick it out until you're done with the game and then update it later. because you want to keep your save. So everyone's save was deleted that day. They
did actually fix that. They did actually fix that later, and they migrated the saves. And that was a whole other thing. Is that if you then went and got the original Games for Windows Live version, your save had been migrated, and you couldn't load that save in the Games for Windows Live version anymore. So anyway, so it was just a bit of a mess. Games for Windows Live and Steam just does things when moving on.
We should move on. Actually, this is a great place to cut away. Let's take a break. Let's take a breather. We'll let the interview take over. All right, and I mentioned we had a show of two halves. Well, here we are. We're in the second half, and we have brought Joe with us. How are you doing, Joe?
I'm doing fine. Thank you very much.
It's been so long since we've been able to talk to you. This is a weird time for me to record, and it's getting late for you. I know you don't necessarily like to stay up this late, but it's great to have you back on the show. What have you been up to for the past? Gosh, we haven't talked in ages, but what have you been up to for the recent weeks?
Lots and lots of Titanfall.
That's right. Congratulations on your completion.
Yeah, thank you. Also, My Living Legend, Tatey, Buck Marley have all got their completions now, and we're just trying to get Keith his last maps so that he can join the lofty club of the 100%.
5 for 5. That's impressive.
We'll probably be working all year to get Tarragon there because he just can only make one of the sessions. Oh,
yeah.
No.
Oh, wait, he's here still, too. Oh, crap.
Hi.
But yeah, so that's been amazing.
I'm not aiming. Yeah, I am not aiming for the completion, so it won't be all year.
Fair enough. But yeah, no, that's been actually amazing.
Has it been fun gaming with them?
Yeah.
That's good.
Even just chatting. I mean, last night the guys were doing Frontier Defense, which is obviously only 4 players. So I was just playing Assassin's Creed and swearing at Ezio as he refused to jump in the right direction whilst they were doing all their stars. So, it's just nice to be able to chat to people in the community and game at the same time.
That's great.
So that's really cool. What else I've been up to? I've been getting my completions. I managed to complete your completion challenge last year.
I saw that. That was awesome, too. Man.
I had a spreadsheet at the end because it was just way too complicated to try and figure out which game fit in which category.
Oh, yeah. I've got spreadsheets. Do you have a plan for this year?
I have a
Or are you going to wait until October and figure it out? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I set up a goal for the number that I need, and I've already got a couple in the bag, but I haven't really looked at them. They didn't look as hard as last year's, to be perfectly honest.
No, not. I mean, there's a couple that might hang you up, but there's just so many options, I think, that you've got.
Hey, just a question, Brandon. How do you tackle the Lego category if you've completed all of the Lego games? I'm asking for a friend.
Well, if that was for last year, but I don't know how that would have worked if they were already completed. I think we'd have to make a special exception and just say you have no possible options. So here you go.
Well, they always bring new ones out, and Lego Dimensions keeps becoming a recompletion, so I think we're fine for a little while.
There you go.
Plus, I'm doing all of the stacks, and Lego Rock Band is going to take me a while, because you know how much I love those plastic instruments.
Right.
I've been playing Batman today, though, the Telltale game. It's interesting.
Which episode are you on?
Oh, I've just finished 3.
Okay.
And I went, I so called that person was a woman, but I didn't realize who it was. So that's not really a spoiler.
Gotcha.
But I so called that it was a woman. I was like, I looked at that character and went, that's a woman. And it was, and I felt really happy about that one. But no, it's quite interesting. It's shorter than all of the other Telltale games. It seems to make a habit of making all of the episodes much, much shorter. And I'm not sure whether I like that, because they've made them more expensive.
You mean just like of time put in versus money spent type expensive, or?
Well, they've increased the price, and then they've made it take less time to play.
Gotcha. I didn't realize they increased the price.
Yeah, it's gone up quite significantly.
No, it's all right though, because they'll have a sale.
Yeah, they'll discount the hell out of it.
Yeah. Oh, that's when I picked up the stacks of Borderlands and Game of Thrones, because they were like half price in the Christmas sales, so I can play them again.
I'd save those. There is a Telltale month coming up.
Ah.
Ooh.
Yeah,
you heard it here first.
It was March. It was March, but now I've been pressured into making it March Effect. So it will now be March Effect in honor of Mass Effect coming out.
Sweet. I've got that pre-ordered. I'm so excited.
Are you?
I'm hoping I'm not disappointed.
I think it looks really cool.
So much. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And oh my god, the male rider is so hot. It's a shame he's going to be my character's brother, but I can still.
But then you'll get to see him more.
I'm not technically related.
Yeah, but you'll actually get to see him and interface with him. You won't have to go find a mirror to look at him.
Yeah, but I can't sleep with him because that would just be weird.
Oh, because you're a brother. I get you.
Brother and sister. Yeah, that would
could be
space
adoptive,
incest.
Right? Couldn't
Still
it be adoptive?
Space incest. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's no Caden from the first game. But yeah, it's like, oh my god, he's so attractive. But that's what I think about when I see these games.
Hey, that works for me.
Well, I mean, you know, lots of video games have hot women in, so it's nice when they have hot men too.
Much appreciated then, right?
Yes.
All's fair play. Well, that's cool. So what, has there been anything else that has been consuming most of your time?
Buying.
I assume work's been pretty ridiculous.
It's been okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, same old, same old. I've been buying lots of new games. I have a stack of like 8 in front of my TV that are still in the cellophane.
That's
Which I
quite
should probably
unlike
do
you.
Something about. I know, it's really weird. I don't know why I haven't unwrapped them.
And so do you have a target as to kind of which order you're going to approach those, or are these kind of longer term, just bide your time till Mass Effect? I get the feeling you're going to play Mass Effect day one once you get that.
Yep, I've got the next day booked off because obviously I shall get it and then I shall install it, but then I want to play it. And because it comes out on a Thursday in the UK, I've got Friday booked off, so I've got a 3-day weekend.
Nice.
But I found out just now that it's early access on EA on the 15th. So I should be probably picking up a month of EA access just so I can play that early as well.
And then you're going to get a digital you're going to get a physical copy to then play that one?
Yeah, I've got to get the physical copy. I love having the discs.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So what's going to consume your time between now and then?
I'm not really sure. I've got Ezio.
Mass Effect 2 Japan?
No, I still haven't finished my Insanity run on the the English version?
the rest of the world.
Yes.
Rest of the world version.
The rest of the world version. I've still got an Insanity run that I'm partially through that I sort of abandoned at some point, and I'm probably going to have to restart because I forgot where I got to. But I've got my Ezio, I've got Watch Dogs 2, and then I've got a couple of annoying achievements left in Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2 that I'm ignoring because they're annoying me.
Sorry to hear that.
Well, it's like I finished the game and it was brilliant. It was one of my completions. And then they brought out a title update and it's timed events that you have to play on certain days. And I don't like being restricted as to when I can play. But there's a really hard boss hunt mode that's literally only once a month that you can do it. So not only have you got to find people that can do it on Insanity, which is seriously difficult, you also have to be all available at the same time at this arbitrary time of the month, which is usually at the end of the month. So yeah.
Well, there is this handy Titanfall group you might be able to leverage for that.
Yeah, I probably could. I think only 2 of them have started it, but you may need to have sort of some leveled up characters, so you've got the extra abilities. I'm not even sure I've got one leveled up high enough that's the right type. So yeah, and then there's the last achievement that I've got to get. You've got to get 4 keys from getting rainbow stars from these weekly events, and you open up a chest and you get a key, which used to be random, but now you definitely get a key if you open up the 50-star chest. And then you use the key to open a door, and then you've got to do a trial, which is like the trial of agility is like walking along a really thin plank, but you've got to do it in a time limit. And then there's one that's you've got to like hit all the symbols, and then hit all the symbols in the next one, and then hit all the symbols. And yeah, it's really, really hard. And at the end of those, you get a code, and then you put the code in the thing and you fight a boss. You got to do that 4 times, and then you get a final code, and then there's a final boss, and then there's 2 chests, and then you need 50 stars to open those, and then you get costumes, and then you've got to be the costumes, each of the costumes, and then you get the achievement. So it's a little bit like the house that Jack built.
Yeah. So hang on, is this Destiny or is this Plants vs.
No, this is Plants vs. Zombies. I have the 4 keys. I just haven't managed to complete a trial yet. But not that I've really had a massive go at it. Nice. Yeah. That's so awesome. I'm sort of putting it off because I am kind of annoyed with it, but also the person that I usually sort of play these with has already got them, so I don't feel like I want to keep on making him play the game over and over again to help me out.
Right.
I should probably just ask.
Kick it out to the community. We all would love to help.
Yeah,
I need to start playing PvZ too as well.
Garden Warfare 2, yeah. Anyone wants to do an Insanity Bus run on... when is it? It's 26th to the 29th this month. Please,
that's a tight window.
Please drop me a message. Yes, I know. It's insane. Well,
that's a good segue. Yeah, because you mentioned insane, and we have an interview that we're gonna share, and in the poor choice of words that we both just used. It's really fun, and so we have with us an actual doctor, a legitimate doctor who deals with psychology, addiction, depression, mental health issues, and her focus is in video games. And so I hope you all enjoy the interview that we have. So here you go.
Mm. I feel like I should justify my choice of the word insane because the difficulty level is literally called insanity.
I know. Yeah, it is. We can come back and add that in because I don't know if you want to sign off or anything. And then we can do knobs and discos quick and then just shut her down. Does that work for you, Tarragon?
I forgot to mention something else if we want to jigsaw this. I just want to mention that I've also been doing lots of flagging of the new games, which has been really fun, and I've met some cool people through that. But
yeah, the Game Info team has been going crazy dealing with the backlog. It's been really impressive.
Yeah, so if you're playing a game that has no flags, please submit flags. It makes our job much easier, and we don't have to guess on games we haven't played. So there we go.
I saw that you gave mine a thumbs up. You are the one who approved my flags for the final station, so that was fun.
Yes.
It's like, oh, nice. Look, Joe. Hey, all right. I got credit.
I was getting my feet wet there. I did a Lego game first because it was easy.
That's nice. Should we do our knobs and discos? Tarragon, what do you got?
Yeah. There's only a couple, but basically they're both around server closures. A while back, Might and Magic Duel of Champions Forgotten Wars, which is a sort of a online card game, the servers were announced to be closed for that. Those servers have now closed, and as a result, all of the achievements are discontinued. So you cannot play the game offline or in any form without being connected, unfortunately, from what I gather. Another one was NBA 2K15. Apparently, I haven't seen it myself, but apparently they tweeted out that the servers were closed on December 31st this year, or last year, sorry. And and as a result, some of the achievements relating to their online modes are discontinued as well. So that's about it. The reason I know about 2K15 in particular is because it actually came up on somebody's random to-do list, and so I had to go and investigate and re-roll that.
Oh man, so it's just making more work for you.
Yeah. So that's all there is for Knobs and Discos at this time.
Gotcha. So today we have the esteemed pleasure of being joined by renowned Dr. Jennifer Hazel, founder of Checkpoint. Checkpoint is a nonprofit organization with focusing on mental health care and video games, and I'll let her explain more about it, but we are so excited to have her on the show today. How are you doing today, Doctor?
Oh, thank you. I'm very good, thank you. Don't call me doctor, that's weird.
I won't.
Just call me Jen.
I'll start with the formalities, and now we can be friendly and have fun with it. Because you are a 100% legitimate doctor, right? This isn't like a Dr. Dre type...
No, and it's not a PhD doctor either. I'm a medical doctor. So when people say doctor to me very loudly, I get, like, the adrenaline starts pumping because I assume that there's something going on that's going to be bad. So that's a surefire way to get me incredibly stressed out very quickly.
Have you ever considered dabbling in the dark arts or black magic, where you could be Witch Hazel? Okay, thank you. I'm out of here. All right. No. Painful jokes aside, though, you actually have a very serious and important role in the world of gaming and mental health issues. So, would you please share about kind of the work that you do? The Checkpoint Foundation, the organization that you founded. We'd love to hear about it.
Thank you. So I am a doctor and I currently specialise in psychiatry. And when I discovered that was my passion in the medical world, I started thinking about, well, how can I connect this to my other passion, which has always been gaming ever since I was a kid. And started just kind of reaching out to people that I knew on Twitter and at conventions, and the feedback was completely overwhelming. People really wanted to engage and talk about this stuff. People were very keen to open up about mental health and explore issues of well-being, particularly in the gaming context. And I kind of had a look around and realised not many other people were doing it, and it was something that a lot of people desperately wanted. So that's how Checkpoint was born. And we act at that intersection between mental health care and wellness and well-being, with video games and technology in a broader sense, so kind of apps and internet use and things like that. And we advocate for safe gaming and safe use, but then we also provide resources to help people experiencing mental illness, and we assist the gaming community to understand mental health better, to represent it better in games, and eventually to try to develop gaming resources that will be able to be a treatment for mental health issues.
That sounds like a massive undertaking. I mean, you just single-handedly named off like 5 very serious conditions and areas of study, regarding either people helping to cope, either people enjoying and using as escapism, or just the inherent nature of the internet and the toxicity that can be present. I mean, that's a big net that you're casting.
Yeah, I'm ambitious. I was a doctor when I was 23. Like I don't stop. And it's already like we were born, as it were, in June 2016, and we're already doing so much. And I've got this team of really wonderful, enthusiastic people. So it's not just me. I've got so much help, and people are really keen to get on board with this stuff, which is just so inspiring to me. So it's kind of like that positive feedback loop where I suggest something and then people really jump on board and they all give it their all and everybody really wants to help out, and then it makes me feel like, well, this is incredibly validating, let's do more. So yeah, hopefully we'll only get bigger and bigger.
That's awesome. I had a community member reach out and ask, you kind of mentioned how you got into it, but maybe a little bit more specific about what pushed you into that field. He himself works at a mental health hospital out in New York, and so he's very curious about how you were able to link your profession with the video game technology and move into that direction. Is it simply just you saw a gap and went after it, or were there other motivating factors?
I guess it was a combination of there being a gap, but also it being a very personal pursuit. When I moved to Australia, so I live in Australia, but obviously to anybody who is astute, I'm British. And I came out here for a quote unquote year out, which has now lasted for 3.5, and is likely to be indefinite. I was working in the emergency department, as most expat doctors do when they first get here. And I really loved it. I loved the controlled chaos and the variety of presentations. But it took about 9 months before team members were starting to seek me out when we had someone presenting for a mental health issue. And I was becoming the mental health doctor. It was becoming recognised that was something that I enjoyed doing. Some of the other doctors would shirk away from it. Unfortunately, mental health is still stigmatised even within the medical world. And I was kind of renowned as the person who would take on board these challenging cases. And I thought, well, instead of just choosing to do this all day and then spending the rest of the day stitching people up and fixing fractures, why don't I just do this? So I transitioned to psychiatry, and my first boss was this little dude who I think might be about 300 years old. And he was a very traditional psychiatrist, and he didn't
I'm hearing Yoda. Is it Yoda?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Yoda, but with ginger hair.
Okay, perfect.
Are you imagining that?
I am. Skin color? I mean, is it green, or is it more traditional human colors?
He's Caucasian, but at the age where his skin was so thin that there was a tint. Sure,
I got you. Okay, perfect. You've painted a beautiful picture.
So he was amazing. He was very supportive and a very, as I say, a very traditional clinician who had clearly practiced since way before I was born. And I sometimes wonder even before my parents were born. And we had a patient who was into video games, and he kind of mentioned flippantly offhand, video games are very addictive and make people violent, which is obviously the picture that the media has been painting for a long time.
Right.
And I just flipped out. I was just like, no. I'd read all the research. I'd read the meta-analyses, that have completely disproved the aggression theory. And addiction is something that's very complicated and specific, and because I had a personal interest in it, I'd read up all about it, and I very passionately told him in not so many words that he was completely wrong. And because he was so amazing, he was like, well, that's very interesting. Thank you for educating me. Would you also like to educate the rest of the hospital at the monthly presentations that we do? And I was like, yeah, okay, not really realising what I was getting myself into. So I ended up doing this presentation about, video games and mental health towards a group of several hundred members of staff who had no idea what games were. And I actually put, GIFs into the PowerPoint presentation so they moved when they were on the screen. So I had this, room of just completely tech-illiterate doctors enraptured because there was things on the screen that were moving. And I guess that was when I realised that this could be my thing, this could be my niche, not only as a doctor, but in the gaming community as well. And as I say, when I started reaching out after that, the response was so unanimously positive that it was like, okay, well, this is what I was supposed to do then.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, before we get into all the real meat and potatoes of today, I want to have a little fun because I was poking around and found your prescription pixel data and stuff and things that you have. And you got some cool stuff over there. And my favorite thing I found was you analyzing the heroes and villains. That's absolutely brilliant work. How did you come up with that? Those pieces?
So that's something that I want to move over to Checkpoint eventually. I guess the difference between Prescription Pixel and Checkpoint is Prescription Pixel was a brand that I used when I was doing YouTube, and I didn't want to kind of make the whole mental health thing convoluted by using a brand that I'd already established. And I often use Pixel as a kind of testing ground for things that are going to end up on Checkpoint. But to answer your question, I think whenever you have a profession where you're kind of an expert in one thing, you tend to see it in everything else, right? So my partner's a game developer, and we'll play a game together, and I'll be sitting there going, that character wouldn't do this for this psychological reason. And then he's going, that's a really poor design decision. They needed like 10 more days programming to fix that thing up, blah, 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 blah. So, It's always a very natural thing to, whenever I'm experiencing anything, to analyze the people within it and
so I mean,
explore what makes them tick.
To fill in our listeners, you've identified 4 characters. So like Kratos from God of War, Lara Croft from Tomb Raider, a couple of the characters from Final Fantasy, and you've gone into like a psychological breakdown of Kratos clearly has PTSD and he's got some real serious. I mean, it's so fascinating because you've got these really rich characters that. They, like you mentioned, they're motivated by these things that have happened to them and have shaped their psychology, and to put them, in a real life setting with us and to kind of understand their motivations. It's just brilliant. It's so much fun.
Thank you. I really enjoyed writing it. I particularly enjoyed the 2 Final Fantasy ones. I did Score from 8 and Cloud from 7.
Right.
And Cloud is just so fascinating, and I think one of the great things about Square Enix games is that they don't ever really label anything. So they don't say this is a person that has this disorder or this condition. They're just people, and they explore their persona and their character so thoroughly that it's a really great case study for describing or exploring certain issues, but without it being labelled as bad or negative in any way.
Sure.
So it's quite a powerful thing to do.
Absolutely. So you mentioned you wanted to kind of move this over to Checkpoint. Is there any more in the works? I mean, a couple characters I come to mind are like Nathan Drake or Marcus Phoenix.
Oh, that would be so good.
Vaz from Far Cry. Like, those are all very interesting characters from a mental standpoint. I don't know. Do you have anybody off the top of your head you'd like to break down?
I'd love to do Nate. That would be really cool. But I think because we did a panel at PAX and someone was like, "Oh, is Nathan Drake a psychopath?" And I yes, there's a bit of cognitive dissonance, but I think you have to remove that because he cares very deeply about the people around him. Lots, everything.
Yeah. Well, there's just so many rich characters to choose from. What if I shoot a couple off and you do a quick diagnosis on some of them? How about Sonic the Hedgehog? Is he not deep enough? I mean, I think there's some serious addiction issues there, both with speed, his collection of rings. There might be some drug use for coping with that. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
He has some very strong relationships.
That's true.
So I find the interaction between Sonic and Tails to be incredibly
endearing.
Interesting.
Sure.
Well, yeah, because he's kind of taken on this surrogate father role to Tails, and it's something that persists over several generations of games,
right? And
he protects him a lot from. Because let's be fair, Tails is pretty useless.
He pretty much is. I mean, being able to helicopter is pretty nice, but you're right. He does nothing.
So why does he keep him around? He's got all this important stuff to do. He saves the world on more than one occasion. So why is Tails there?
And there's this budding relationship with Sonic as well, and you got to think that at some point he's going to want to start a family, so is Tails.
With Amy Rose, yeah.
I could see it. What about Link? We just had the Nintendo news, the big Switch announcement this upcoming week. The silent protagonist Link.
I'm so excited.
What's his deal?
There's some selective mutism, isn't there? Yeah, I imagine that Link struggles with an anxiety disorder.
I'd have to imagine that myself.
I think
he's just shaken to the core.
And he's a good example for anxiety that doesn't hold someone back. So he is the silent protagonist. He does literally never speak. Though I guess it's implied in the game that he does, because other people reply and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's interesting," as though you've said something.
That's fantastic.
But he doesn't really have significant close relationships, does he?
Nope. He's a complete loner. His horse, Epona, maybe.
Yeah. I think he probably has an anxiety, maybe a social phobia.
Nice.
Bless him.
All right.
But he still manages to save the world. Isn't that a wonderful analogy for life?
And he's not in it for the glory either. So that's endearing. That's nice. I do appreciate that. All right, we can get back on track. That was a simple side comment there. Let's see, kind of thinking where I want to go here, because there's just such a rich tapestry of topics that we can address. Let's start with, fictional characters are one thing, right? But let's switch gears and focus on the humans playing those games. Specifically, in a lot of the work that you've done, there are tons and tons of reasons why people play games. What do you think are the most common reasons, the most common answers, and are those connected to more deep-rooted things? A lot of people will say escapism, or just to have fun, let loose. But I'd like to hear your analysis on kind of what people share with you.
So I think that's a big question. There's a few different layers, and it often depends on the person. But you've got to wonder why do people do anything that's fun? Whether it be sport or watching a good movie or whatever. Why do people do stuff that's fun? Is it because life is very stressful and they want to take a break from that? Is it because, when you get an achievement in a game, you get a nice little dopamine hit? Mm-hmm. So it's like having a nice cup of coffee or, some chocolate. Or is it because people are kind of craving that social aspect of it? I think it very much depends on the person, and there's probably a lot of different mechanisms going on. And it also depends what game they're playing as well. I don't get any enjoyment from, large multiplayer games.
Sure.
But put me in a single-player puzzle game where I can just shut out the rest of the world. I think I've sunk 80 hours into Stardew Valley in the last 2 weeks. So it's something that's very personal to the player.
Right.
And I think the next step in the way that we interact with games is certainly moving in a direction of people being a bit more introspective, why am I playing this?
Sure.
And what am I getting out of it?
Sure. You had mentioned those large-scale online games, and I think one of the most consistent things that we've talked about on this show, and we have a sister podcast who, we're very close with their community, and between the two of our shows, we really want to focus on the positive nature of gaming, because there's this toxicity out there with those large-scale multiplayer games. What do you think is the driving force behind those? Is it simply the competitive nature gone unchecked, or is it the anonymity of being behind a controller? I mean, why are all these people so just nasty online?
That's two questions. Which one do you want me to answer? Why are people terrible, or why do they play these games? Because people are terrible no matter where on the internet you put them. Do you know what I mean? Have you been on YouTube?
That's true. Yes. I think So is that the inherent? So taking video games aside, is it just the nature of the internet and being disconnected with humanity that you can feel entitled to just be a jerk to everybody, or is it isolated with? I don't know. Video games in particular. Are there areas of video games that help increase somebody's aggression because of what they're doing?
No, that's been just consistently disproven clinically. There's an interesting dynamic in video games in terms of behavioural outcomes that for a long time everybody just assumed that violent games make people violent, and the media still goes on about this every time there's like a mass shooting in America. Oh, they played video games, but it's not. It's just so much more complicated than that. That there's certain types of video game violence that can increase feelings of aggression. So, for example, malicious violence, like the classic example is Grand Theft Auto, where you're just going around, just fucking shit up for the sake of it. Just bashing people because you fancy it. Like, there's no benefit to it for society, right? That can make people more aggressive. But then on the other hand, sometimes people find that very cathartic, and it reduces real world agitation because they're able to exhibit those feelings that they're very mixed about in themselves. They know it's not appropriate, and they know they can't act that out in the real world. They're able to do it in a safe space. So we don't even fully understand that. But then as soon as you go to pro-social violence, and by that I mean it's like, for example, your war-based shooters, Call of Duty being the classic one, because you're being violent to help your comrades, you're being violent for a cause. Right. And you're communicating to a team, that actually improves pro-social behaviour. It makes people better to each other, which is very converse to what kind of the media have been portraying for a very long time. Sure. The other part of your question was, why are people terrible? Look, I work with kids. I am a child and adolescent psychiatry doctor in my training stages. So kids are nasty, man.
Yeah.
The things they say to each other. Like, I don't remember it being that bad when I was a kid. I don't. Maybe it was. Maybe I just wasn't bullied that badly. But like, they're mean. And I wonder whether a lot of what we see online is this kind of like unhindered, the child in people, whether it is actual teenagers,
sure, and
it might be, or whether it is adults who feel like they're not able to express that part of themselves productively, and it's a way of them doing that. It's difficult without knowing who the person behind the microphone is,
Sure.
Yeah, I wonder if it's we as adults tend to build up a lot of layers of how we respond to things, and once you get behind a screen or there's an extra layer of distance, you tend to drop a lot of those protections and layers, and so you sort of regress back to a younger form of yourself, I guess. I wonder if it's something a bit like that.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, good, because that'll help out. Decoy1982 wanted to know about trolling. I think he's asking for a friend. Those in the community would know he has a bit of a row with a community member we like to fancy, but he's just playing around. Well, that's interesting. I mean, certainly from... Do you think that as, so I have two kids, and I think my kids are great. Of course, I've got a slightly skewed view of that, but just seeing their interactions with others, and, I think a lot of that comes with the way that my wife and I raise our kids to be very respectful, and you might not agree with your elders, but you can't be a jerk to your elders, right? They might be wrong. There's a lot of people out there who are wrong, but you can't go out and, just tear them apart because they're wrong. It's okay to be wrong. And having a nice way for them to express themselves and be receptive to that. Is there things that we can do as gaming parents to kind of help break those walls down and maybe better equip our kids for life on the internet?
Yeah, that's I think what you've raised there is really interesting in terms of like everybody thinks that their kids are perfect, right? So I think a lot of people aren't having this conversation with their kids in terms of like, yes, and I'm not saying that your kids are trolls, but everybody is going to think, oh, my kid's going to be a victim of trolling. But how many parents would think my kid is the troll?
Sure.
And I wonder, like, I've got, I've certainly had situations where I've had two patients from the same school and they're both accusing each other of being the bully. And
right.
People are a spectrum. Everybody has good parts and bad parts. And I think one of the important things about childhood is that you try things out and you see how they feel in the context of society. Now, I think before the internet, people were very unlikely to try out just insulting someone to their face.
Sure.
Because, there would be a real world consequence of that. But now people can try that out and see how it feels safely. And then, so you could get this like perfectly lovely kid who's going home and taking out what they perceive to be, the wrongdoings against them on randoms on the internet. And it's not because they're a bad person. I don't believe that anyone is a bad or good person.
Sure.
That there are people that have certain vulnerabilities and they're dealing with them in a certain way, and perhaps that way is not so productive. And as parents or the adults that are helping the next generation into a life that is going to be completely inseparable from the internet and technology, it's important to explore those issues with balance so that you're not demonizing one thing, but seeing the whole experience and understanding it as an interaction between the good and bad parts of all of us. So, for example, like if a kid sees their parents argue once or twice, and everybody argues, like that's a normal part of experience, right?
Right.
Then they might think that it's okay to go online and have that sort of interaction with someone else. What we need to acknowledge is that your kids are going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff that you just don't see because they're online doing it.
Sure.
And to be able to have those really open conversations and just be like, look, this behavior is okay and this isn't okay. Because I think that a lot of these trolls or whatever, probably most of them don't really think they're doing anything wrong. I don't think it's malicious. Or like it probably is malicious, but in a way that they're not really cognizant of the impact victim that it's having.
Yeah.
Like it's not really getting in. Like a bully doesn't really think that they're driving someone else into, deep misery. They're just doing it and they're not really thinking that kind of frontal lobe isn't fully developed. People don't have thoughts about consequences until they're in their early 20s. And well, they do, but it's not fully formed.
Sure.
And I feel like, as to be a cliche, communication is the key. And just being able to discuss these issues with kids that isn't in a way that it's like, look, this happens and this is why it happens. And if you feel like this, these are the things that you could do.
Right.
And exploring it as a multifaceted issue as opposed to just all good or all bad.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's remarkable just how malleable the kids are, their minds, and they're so susceptible to influence and everything. I mean, it's remarkable the types of inferences they'll make as well as, they'll see a couple of things and make this connection, and all of a sudden it's like, wait, how are you doing this? And, and you think back and it's like, oh my goodness, like they connected A and B and came up with C, and it's like, but I'm not okay with C. Like, and
Aren't they fascinating?
They are. They're crazy.
It's the way that their brains work to prepare them for the world. Like they have to make like an absolutely extraordinary amount of neural connections very early on, and then the ones that are repeated get laid down, and the ones that aren't repeated eventually just kind of move off and do something else instead. So that's why you see kids change so much in such a short space of time, and they'll say something that's completely out of this world one day and then never say it again because it was never reinforced, that thing. But if they say something that is reinforced, it will continue to be laid down neurally. So, yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So before we move into I want to leave the negativity of the internet and the toxicity of online play, but I want to ask, Joe, Tarragon, did you guys have anything that we didn't cover? I know, Joe, you're likely have seen quite a bit of, negative attitudes on the internet and things that, is there any areas of questioning that you wanted to address?
Nothing I want to bring up in public, especially with people listening.
This is your chance. We have a free it's a doctor here wanting to talk to you. I mean, we could help through all sorts of problems. We'll get your health insurance information after the show, and then.
I live in the UK. We have the
NHS. God, I miss the NHS.
Yeah, it's not like America with this weird system where people die because they have to bankrupt themselves to see a doctor. But no, I tend to get negative experiences on the internet, but that's often because of my lack of perception of humor, which makes things sound to me worse than they are.
Right.
Everyone on the Discord chat knows I can't really take a joke because I don't see it as a joke. I'm sure there's deep psychological meaning behind that, but
Are you? You know what? I'm not going to do this. I was about to start asking you. Yeah. Are you also a perfectionist? Do you find trouble leaving something half done? Blah, blah, blah,
Here's this comfortable couch. Why don't you just lay down for a second? Yeah.
I think we talked a lot about why trolls troll, but not much about how to deal with it when they troll. And that's like a 3-hour long lecture, But
I bet. I mean, you're trying to tell me there's a solution? Because there
is no solution. It's a generational thing. We'll spend the next 20 years trying to teach the people who were born with this service in their lives how to use it.
Sure.
And our generation will be in that weird place where we were born without the internet, and then at some point it turned up, and the world changed. And then people were behaving differently, and we never learned to cope with that when we were very small. So I think for us, it's going to be a challenge for forever. And I think instead of trying to eliminate it straight away, which is just not going to happen, we all need to have a really good think about how we personally are going to cope with this world that we're now in.
Yeah.
And find our own personal way of dealing with it, and whether that's just turning off the internet and walking away. I find, some people find responding to be very, satisfying for them. I personally just ignore it. I just don't I just block them and then just move away, and then I'm able to let go of that. But other people will have to learn how to let go. Or, for example, with Joe, how to reframe your perception of things being said and try to look at things from multiple different perspectives. Putting yourself in the other person's shoes is often very powerful, and kind of role-playing as though you were them, I find really useful.
Interesting.
Just whatever works for you.
I'm a big proponent of ignoring myself. So is this, I don't want to label whole groups, but is this the millennial generation, or is it the generation after them that is really going to grow up with? I'm trying to think where the delineation is as far as ages right now. Who are which group is most likely to be this wave of complete, disaster, and then the following group is the one that, okay, let's set some ground rules and try and figure this thing out and course correct from the cycle that we've dipped into.
What is a millennial? I never understand this word. It seems to mean something different every 5 seconds. Sometimes I'm a millennial, sometimes I'm not. I don't understand. You
might be a borderline, because I'm a borderline Gen X, Gen Y, and I think they got rid of Gen Y and they just merged me into something else. But because I was born at the in the early 80s, and so like that group where we grew up in the grunge era of the 90s, kind of formative years of the 90s, but coming off of the Reagan era, everybody gets a medal type thing. So I was in that transition period. So I don't really necessarily adhere to one of those groups, but it's kind of what was going on in society at the time. And so I thought that the millennial grouping was this large mass of people born, I guess they'd be in the early to mid 90s, and they just think they're entitled to everything and they don't have to work for anything in their lives. And, they want everything instantaneously because the internet has been there, and everything that they ever want can be just ordered through Amazon. And so the instant gratification,
it's very
what do you mean?
Dangerous to label an entire generation of people like that.
Well, I heard it was anyone born after 1984, so you better watch what you're saying there.
Yeah, that would include me, born after 1984.
Which is why I said that.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah,
ultimately,
millennial, according to Wikipedia, is actually a rebranding, if you like, of Generation Y. So, yeah, the Gen Y, me generation kind of thing.
There you go.
Yeah.
Ultimately, right. It's a stereotype. It's you're taking a classification of people and saying many of them fit into this category, so I'm going to label all of them as this category. It makes life convenient, but it's also grossly overstating things. But ultimately, you are dealing with many people who have a similar upbringing and sensibility about them, so it might help to kind of label a group so you know how to handle it. Not to say
Freema,
that's
you're
right.
not all millennialing. We need to do a new hashtag.
I believe in hard work for my, if you want something to happen, you have to work hard to get it. Not that, I got to call my dad and have him complain until I get what I want.
I don't think they would see it that way.
How so?
I think that their perception of working hard is different to ours.
Okay.
So I think everybody thinks they've got it hard, and you've got to bear in mind that life sucks now in terms of if you're getting to that age where you're starting to work and you would like to buy a house, and this is something that our generation, if you were born in the 80s, basically, you're at that direct point where you can see people that were born 10, 20 years before you had the tail end of the good time, and then anyone that was born after you is just gonna become an adult in this shitstorm of an economy where you can't buy a house, you can't get a job. If you do get a job, you could lose it at any moment. I don't think they have it easy at all, and I think that the internet is the existence of the internet can be positive and negative. On the one hand, it will generate jobs and it will generate income if the government decides that they're ever going to bloody embrace it as a form. I mean, I'm talking specifically for Australia. They're so behind in terms of tech.
Sure.
But in terms of yes, it's widened connections, but at the same time, do you not think that the danger of the internet without proper education from their parents, which is us, which is the people who didn't have it when they were kids, that it just becomes an echo chamber for all the negativity in the world?
Right.
Yes, you can get instant gratification. Yes, you can go on Facebook and be like, I'm sad about this thing, and have 500 people give you likes, and that makes you feel a bit better, and you don't have to learn to self-soothe. But in the same way, depending on which circles you keep, it's unfiltered access to the reality of the world now, which is quite negative in some ways. So
yeah.
I don't think they've got it easy. I think the boomers had it really easy, and then we're all a bit screwed now.
We're all just digging out.
Yeah, we're screwed together, though. I don't think there's any point in like being resentful of the next generation, because let's be fair, they're the ones that are going to pay for your retirement. So you might as well be nice to them.
I wish. All right, so I'm gonna switch gears here, and we kind of talked about the society as a whole now, but I want to talk about societal's stigma of mental health issues. I mean there is this inherent just not wanting to discuss mental health issues, mental health problems, concerns. Maybe you don't agree. I think we are improving, but I'd like to ask you, if you had to put a number on it, 1 to 10, where 1 is like the dark ages and 10 is total enlightenment. Where do you kind of think we are now? Are we closer to 1? Are we closer to 10?
What question? I don't know.
As a whole, I mean, because I still think there's so much of that stigma, but we are making progress toward having open dialogue about it, treating people who are sick with mental issues, not like throwing them into a infirmary somewhere or locking them up, but we're not quite to the yes, let's try and rehabilitate everybody type stage. So I'm curious about where you feel we've fallen.
Yeah, look, we're it's better than when we didn't have any treatment at all and everybody was in asylums, and that was pretty terrible. And it's not the age of enlightenment either, but it depends where you are. Like, mental health care is very much dependent on the culture that you're in, and some cultures don't even recognize it as a thing. So there's very much culture-bound syndromes that exist only within one country, because it's their way of interpreting what we would understand as a mental health issue, and they understand as something completely different. And who's to say who's right or wrong there? So if you even between the 3 countries that we represent in this podcast, the approach to mental health is so vastly different that I think it's difficult to quantify it in such simple terms as putting a number on it. We are getting better. That's the good thing. Yeah. There's still a ways to go.
Do you want to say which one of the 3 countries is the winner? Who's doing better?
Nope.
I know we're at the bottom. You just go ahead and say America's a total disaster. I'm living in it. I get it.
I think perhaps the understanding of mental health in America is okay in terms of, like, I don't know. This is all anecdotal because I've never worked there.
Sure.
But what I've also heard is that access to mental health care is very difficult and very expensive, and that acts as a barrier to entry for a lot of people. So
interesting.
I noticed when I went to San Francisco that there were a significant amount of people who were most likely homeless who also very definitely had mental health issues.
Right.
And you don't really see that in the UK or Australia as much. Like, it seemed like quite severe, and I felt really bad for these people. I just wanted to, like, take them to a clinic and get them seen. But yeah, that doesn't really happen so much in Australia or the UK because we have public health, so we help people regardless of their situation, and there's no barriers to care here. So most of my patients, or in fact, I think almost all of my patients wouldn't be able to afford private healthcare, but they get care. Anyway.
Sure. I wish. Hey, why don't we bring this back to video games now? We've kind of set the stage for the type of disaster that we live in, but we do have this medium that we all enjoy. Are there games out there that you feel have done a great job, or even a good job of handling mental health issues? Of the games I've played, I think one of the ones I enjoy the most is Life is Strange.
Yeah, they did a perfect job.
I was really happy with how that, approached the issues, and it presented a lot of dialogue options that you could talk through. What about from your standpoint? Do you have any other games that you think might stand out for yourself?
I did a talk about this recently, but look, Life is Strange, I feel, is perhaps the gold standard. It's the one that all other games should try to achieve. Let me try and get my yeah. Well, it was so sensitive,
delightful. I loved it.
Like it really looked at the characters as people and not labels, and explored their entire experience. So I think one of the most impressive things is about it when you go to Chloe's room and you find a box of fluoxetine, which is what do you guys call it? Prozac. Yeah. And Max doesn't really say anything about that. She's just like, yep, that's there. Like it's not a problem, it's not a thing, it's not focused on, Yeah. So that was really powerful. As I said earlier, I've been binging Stardew Valley a lot, and
right.
There's a character in it called Shane who has an arc where he's quite obviously suffering from depression, and he's using alcoholism to cope. And spoilers, so if you want to play it and you want to find out Shane's arc, don't listen for the next 30 seconds. But you eventually find him at the edge of a cliff, contemplating suicide, and you are able to get him to the village clinic where the doctor looks after him and states, his alcohol use is obviously an issue, but I'm actually really worried about his mental health, and he refers him for counselling. And then Shane goes off screen. You never see any of this, but this guy obviously goes and sees a counsellor, and then he's able to reflect to you about his previous alcohol use and how it was so negative for him, and he cuts down, and he spent you actually see specific things in the game. He doesn't stop drinking, but he used to spend every evening in the bar just drinking all night, and then he just goes from that to only spending one evening a week in there.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's I was really, really impressed when I saw it. Other games, I think The Last of Us is a really great example of an absolutely impeccable exploration of human psychology without judging or labeling anybody as good or bad. Right. That there's so much going on with that interaction between Joel and Ellie, and obviously Joel's experiences are laid out right from the get-go. You know what you're dealing with here. Yeah. And his journey is just fascinating.
Oh, the richness of those characters is amazing.
God. It's yeah, I think Joel and Ellie will probably be my next little projects for psychoanalysis.
Sure. Oh, that would be fascinating.
And Psychonauts is another one that I think does it really well because it didn't mean to. And I've spoke to one of the devs at Double Fine, and they're exploring in the sequel how they might be able to kind of integrate mental health issues a bit more.
Sure. So, and I mean, is that ultimately where a lot of this comes from? Is that the developers feel, have a personal stake here, and they want to, may either get something out their chest or begin to break down any of these walls, or is it? Do you think these things were by accident? I mean, the level of depth that we're talking here, that has to be planned, right? I mean, that's a conscious decision to do and explore, these areas.
I think when it's done positively, it almost always is someone exploring issues from a place of catharsis, or they want to make a rich character and they're using psychology as a positive there. Or they're kind of exploring these issues because they've seen others experience them and they want to help. When it's done badly, it's almost always a narrative device.
Sure.
So it's someone being like, these people are scary because they're crazy, because they have schizophrenia or something, or they're psychotic. And it's like, well, please don't be a cliche.
Sure.
But also like they're basically perpetuating a really severe stigma that worsens the lives of a lot of people in order to try to communicate an atmosphere. It's just lazy, and we shouldn't be doing it anymore. I think it's really, really poor.
Interesting.
Like there's a move. Sorry, I get very passionate about this. Look, I haven't seen
hearing
it.
I
haven't seen it, so I can't judge fully. But I saw this trailer for a movie. You know, what's his name? M. Night Shyamalan.
That's the one.
Oh, and I feel like this should be banned. Like, we shouldn't be allowed to do this. This should be globally just prohibited. It's called Split, and it's like, this man has 23 separate personalities. The 24th is gonna be the one that's scary or something. And then in the trailer, he's like clearly like just this caricature of a psychopath or someone that's psychotic like that. Of it, sometimes the lines are blurred there. They're two very separate things, and I'm just like,
sure.
Split personality disorder doesn't exist, not a thing. Let's just throw that out the window. But this ridiculous portrayal of people who have a very severe mental illness as evil, like, I don't agree with it. Sorry, yeah. I get very passionate about these sorts of things.
I appreciate your passion. It's fantastic. I mean, if you weren't passionate about it, I'm not sure we'd want to talk to you.
Yeah, fair enough.
So now you've put me in an interesting predicament here, because there was a game I was going to mention, and now I'm not sure it's either on the good side or the bad side. So I'm just going to throw it out here, and you can help me break it down.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Because it's kind of an obscure game, but maybe not. So the game that I'm thinking of is Alice Madness Returns. Are you familiar?
Oh, okay. Yes, I am familiar.
Okay.
But
so is this a bad example or a good example? So, I mean, this character, right, it takes the traditional daydreaming fantasy story of Alice in Wonderland, and it paints it as a coping mechanism for some really, really serious trauma that she's experienced. And, I don't want to spoil that part of the story, but, she's using this as escaping from all the terrors that she faces in real life. And I thought it was really interesting and fascinating, but now you're making me second guess, like this just might be an easy narrative decision and it's not actually helpful to mental health discussions.
Look, I haven't played it, so I can't be objective.
Okay.
I have heard it cited to me as something that helped people, like specifically with mental health problems.
Okay.
So some people have found it helpful. I think any exploration of finding ways to cope, so using that experience to try to create a positive, has the potential to be beneficial. Like, it sounds like it's come from a good place, I don't know how I feel about the word madness. And as I say, I haven't played it, so I don't know what happens in it, but we need to, I think one of the really important things is that we just need to start delineating, mental health is not one thing. Like, it's not, you're not either mad or not mad, or insane or sane, or, it's this whole spectrum of experience and diagnoses and all of these different things. And
right.
So, lumping them all together can be dangerous. But I'm afraid I can't have an objective opinion about Alice. It looks pretty. I looked it up on Google.
And I think because it was the sequel to a game, I think the first game, and you can probably skip the first game, it's pretty terrible and quite dated. But the second game, I think, tried to course correct off of what happened in the first one, and it was... so I think that's where the madness part comes from. But it's... I mean, the idea is that you don't know what's happening, and then the reveal at the end as to why things have broken down the way they have becomes very apparent as to, you know, this picture that they're trying to paint. And so that I totally understand that the word in and of itself can be incendiary, but I don't think it was meant to be antagonistic. I think it was meant to be, you know, keep you in the dark.
Yeah, it sounds like it comes from a good place.
We'll see. Maybe, you know, perhaps you'll get a chance to play it, and we can delve into that. We kind of talked about escapism a little bit, and we had a question from the community, and even a question from myself here is, you know, is it healthy? I mean, I think escapism is healthy in general, right? You get to kind of blow off some steam, live a different experience. But where do you kind of draw the line there? I mean, because obviously you can go too far and pull yourself out of society and become non-functioning. Is there an easy way to? There's definitely not an easy way, but is there any sort of delineation you can offer about maybe what's too far, where's that limit?
You just did it.
That was it right there?
Yeah, it's function. So with all addiction or substance use and behavioral things, like, you know, people can be addicted to exercise or, you know, gambling or whatever. Things that in moderation are safe, but as soon as you go over a line, it can become very dangerous, and it's all about function. So we have a societal obligation to kind of exist as contributory units, and that means that we have kind of a social life and a career, or you go to school, you have a family, and you have an obligation to yourself as well, you know, to keep yourself washed and fed and all of these important things. And if you're not doing one or some of them, then you need to have a thought about why. And I think that's where the line is are you still functioning as you're supposed to? Has there been a decline in function? Sure. And is that it might not be because you're playing, but it might be because you're thinking about playing, or you might have fallen out with your family because they say you're playing too much and you don't think you are. And is it really that important to, you know, like to prioritize the game over things that are otherwise more important?
Right.
So it's all about insight and introspect and function. Function's the key word.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, Weasel Pizza, I hope that answers your question. From my standpoint, do you think the term addiction is used too freely? You know, like I hear commonly people are say, I'm so OCD because I need to go finish that. Where it's like, no, like true OCD is very serious. You are not OCD. You just want to finish a project. Do you think we throw that word around a little too flippantly?
Well, it is a clinical diagnosis.
Right.
So, in that sense, yes. But I think you can use it a bit looser, because things can be addictive, and, you can have an addictive personality and things like that. But in terms of like, are we saying that video games are too addictive, or are we worried about that as a specific term? I think that we could expand our vocabulary there, but I don't know what alternative we would use. What do you reckon?
Catchy.
I mean, yeah, right?
Time sink.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely that. I look at, so the APA, they're what, the 9 criteria here for gaming, for addiction in general, right? And I look through this list of items, and, if I can go and check off all these, like, can I self-diagnose, or do you actually need a doctor to say, okay, we've gone through all this, and yes, you do indeed have a problem?
If you feel like you need to see a doctor, then you should see a doctor.
Okay.
I think mental health things are also very tricky to self-diagnose because you can't really see yourself and your own behaviour from an objective viewpoint ever. So it's I wouldn't use a checklist to try and diagnose that kind of thing myself.
But it's so handy. And we've already established that the United States health system is a disaster. So I don't. I mean, if I can just solve my problems on the internet, I might take everyone up on it.
I think it's important to consider these things, and if you are worried, that it's important to tell someone, whether it be your friends or family, to seek help in some way.
Yeah. Now, I mean, in that regard, okay, obviously I want to, let's take the people out of it, right? Let's just say anybody comes to you and says, look, I might have a gaming addiction. What are kind of the treatment options, or how does that ball get rolling typically? Is it consultations? Is it just, kind of reviewing their case study type thing? How does the process go?
So as with most addictions, and I think that the Stardew Valley Shane case study is quite a good example. He uses alcohol because he's depressed, right?
Sure.
So I think a lot of the time with online gaming disorder, there are reasons that gaming is being used in that way and has become unhealthy. So there's usually a motivation. What is the person getting out of the game that they're not getting in real life? What is the gap they're trying to fill? And it's often an indicator of something underlying that needs treatment. So, for example, if someone is severely socially anxious and the only way that they can get any sort of interaction that's healthy for them is in the online space, or if someone is feeling very incompetent, they're feeling very undervalued, and it's causing them to be quite depressed, and they're using the gaming to try and get that sense of kind of achievement and autonomy. It's important to look at people as individuals and as a complex kind of system.
Sure.
So someone isn't addicted to gaming primarily almost 100% of the time. Usually there's something else going on.
Right, and it's just a good mechanism to make them feel better, and it's covering up a deeper issue.
Yeah, it's a coping mechanism.
Gotcha. What type of professional should somebody seek out if they think they might have issues? Is it just going to your traditional doctor, or do you go find a specialist? Are there specific areas of mental health, that people should reach out to? Just any addiction counseling in general, or are people who deal with primarily drug and alcohol addictions, are they equipped to handle video game addiction?
Probably not. But I can't speak for all countries. Like, for example. I've got no idea what goes on in America. We do have video game addiction clinics here in Australia, but they're very new. In all cases, you could start by going to visit your family doctor, your GP.
Sure.
And they will hopefully be equipped to understand where to advise you to go next. There's a whole bunch of online resources as well. I know that Joe, in the UK, you have the wonderful access to the NHS and therefore the NHS online services. They offer electronic CBT, which is pretty good. And then over here in Australia, we have Reach Out Australia, we have Beyond Blue, Headspace, a whole bunch of very accessible online resources that are just packed with information that you can explore. And a lot of the time they have electronic resources that you can use to try and do some self-help as well. I'm sure I can't speak for America.
No, and that's fine.
I'm sure that you can look up some resources and pop them in there.
Absolutely, and it'd be a good start for anyone who might be concerned, or at least even just to get the conversation started. Certainly, if you're thinking about it, then I would. Granted, I'm not a doctor, but I would think if it's on your mind that there might be a conversation worth having there. That it's the only thing. The only thing that he can say is no, that's not a problem, and that would be your best case scenario. But if there is indeed something there, you want to start talking about it and working through it. Ultimately, this kind of leads to my next question here: is do you believe there is a distinction between having an addiction and a problem? So, like, can you have a gambling addiction but not a gambling problem? Or are addictions inherently a problem? Do you understand that, my question?
What do you think?
I think you can be addicted to something and it not be a problem. Like, I think you can have that desire and the physical, almost the physical pains of wanting to do something. Like, I really need to go do that, but telling yourself, but I have obligations and responsibilities, so I can't, and so I'm just going to suffer, but I have to go do what's right because of my responsibilities and obligations. Having not having the willpower to do that then moves it to a problem in my mind, where then it becomes a problem because you're neglecting what you should be doing to focus on your addiction. But you can have an addiction without it being a problem per se. So I'll take me for an example, and I'll use gambling. I really, really like to gamble. And I can sit at a table and I can play and play and play until my money's gone. And if I'm winning, I will still sit there despite, being tired, thirsty, hungry, all sorts of things. I can sit there and play, but the second I run out of money, I can say, okay, that was it. I'm out. I'm done. I have no more money. That's the end of it, right? And so I don't think it's a problem, but I really have a hard time pulling myself from a table if there's still money in my hand. And so, maybe that's not a full-blown addiction per se, but it's certainly really challenging because of the emotions I'm getting out of the act of gambling. But I do have the ability to say, I need to stop right here. This is now I'm too far.
I think you just answered your own question.
So I can have an addiction and it not be a problem.
Well, you said it's not an addiction per se.
Oh, with the gambling thing? Yeah, that's why I left the video game part of it out, because I'm a little more gray on that one.
Look, I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, right? Like addiction as a word being sometimes used flippantly in terms of like, are you talking about a clinical addiction, in which case by definition it's a problem? Or are you talking about the more colloquial form of the word addiction of just like, I really like doing this thing? Yeah. Okay. I guess that would be the distinction. So ultimately, we need a better word than addiction for non-clinical, very strong passion. I mean, is there a wonderful word that sums all that up? I'm not entirely sure. Not really.
So, there's lots of resources out there. There's ways that people, if they think there might be an issue, that they should get help. Clearly, if there are addictions in play, right, that these can lead to some very serious issues down the road, and that we should encourage anybody who might think they've got these problems to reach out. We're here as a community. The Zed to Zed community is just one piece, but we're all here. We all care about everyone that frequents our forums, and so if that's the beauty of private messages too. Start the conversation, and at least we can talk about it and have some meaningful dialogue. What
a lovely sentiment! I really like that.
Well, good. I absolutely mean it, because I think we mentioned it a little earlier in the show that I think so often we don't talk about these issues and problems that we might be facing, and we tend to let them fester and build, and that becomes more destructive than working with others to help, because there's so many people that do in fact care about you, me, everybody. There are people who care about you, and so find those people because they want to help. Yeah. So with that, was there anything I missed, Joe, Tarragon? Where?
I'm very acutely aware that Joe and Tarragon haven't done much speaking. I'm sorry.
That's fine. This is pretty normal for Freem. He tends to take over things, and he's pretty much covered everything that I was going to bring up anyway. So I'm not sure about Joe, but yeah, I think it's all pretty well covered.
I think in my nature of pre-planning, like I've got my questions and I've got a flow and I know how I want it to go, and then nobody gave me any other input, so I'm operating on my own, and I was hoping for some cues from everybody else to say, oh, this is a really interesting topic and I've got a lot I want to talk about, and so I want to hear it, because I certainly don't mean to hog the mic. I like to hear the sound of my own voice, and I like to have conversations with, smart and well-spoken people. And so this has been an absolute treat for me. And I don't want to hog all your time.
Thank you.
I think you should probably try and diagnose Freem, because he doesn't let anyone get a word in edgeways.
I have no clinical opinion about that whatsoever.
Here, I'll give you a diagnosis, right? So I've got a very strong-willed wife who is, I let her run the show here. And so when I have an opportunity to, run my own little program and my own show, I take full advantage of it. And so then I can go back and be the, yes, ma'am, I'll do whatever you need. House clean, sure. Take care of the kids. I'm on it. And so this is my outlet. It's certainly, we talk about video games. We talk about having conversations about video games, all sorts of things in that nature. It's so much fun, and so this really gets me energized. And so there's a diagnosis for you.
Yeah, I did.
Whatever works for you.
I did have one thing.
Yeah.
I've read, and I mean, I can't verify this, but I've read with certain games, particularly games that are sort of where you buy time or you buy packs to kind of increase your progression in a game, that behind the scenes they've actually hired psychologists to actually make those games more addictive or more appealing to people who might be susceptible to being addicted. Do you have any sort of experience with that or knowledge of those sort of practices?
Look, I don't have personal experience with it. I'm very well aware that it happens. Gaming isn't the only place that it happens. It happens in sports advertising and
supermarket design and also
absolutely. So I would personally question its ethics, particularly when you're now looking at kind of negative health outcomes. I mean, look at the route that, for example, cigarette smoking has taken. There was a long time where cigarettes were advertised and, placed in certain areas that would trigger people to want to have them. And that was very psychological. And now we're not allowed to do that anymore because smoking leads to bad things and we're trying to stop it. So I don't know what the future will hold for stuff like that. I don't personally think it's ethical to try and separate people from their money for an arbitrary dopamine hit that they're getting from a casual game. I'm much more a fan of the kind of premium pay once, play unlimited model. But that's my personal opinion as opposed to a kind of clinical or scientific opinion. I have to be very careful about what I say, but it's something that does happen and will continue to happen, and that as players, unfortunately, the onus is on us to be mindful of that, because you can't trust all of the developers to behave in a way that is ethical towards its players.
And I guess the other side of that would be dealing with toxic communities, and in particular the way Riot Games have dealt with it in their League of Legends title. I don't have a lot of experience with the title myself, but they keep getting cited as a sort of a gold standard on how to actually remove toxicity or to control it within a community. Do you have any information or experience in that particular area?
No, how do they do it?
They were fostering their community. I'm not exactly sure. I just know that they do. They changed the way that people could interact with each other in such a way that essentially there was a lot more positive reinforcement, I think. And so it was actually harder for people to be negative to each other. And as a result, the toxicity in the actual community started to sort of dissipate and go away. So I'll need to look into it a bit more. But yeah, I suppose.
What, like a rating system?
I think it's more to do with the direct interaction, I think. But yeah, sorry, it's a bit of a mess. I should have looked at it a bit more.
I mean, along that line, though, Overwatch recently did that where if you type in easy GG, like, good game, it was easy, it didn't pose any problems, like, one of the easiest ways to troll somebody is that the program would automatically change that to say something like, I have some serious issues communicating with others and just please love me type thing. And it would change what the user had said to be, actually, I'm a horrible person and, this is how I try to express myself. That's poking fun at it, but it's also trying to, curb that behavior. Is that the right approach? Or another approach I've heard is, and this is, I'm kind of curious about your take on this, is when you go to hell servers. So for instance, like you got some cheaters and some negative people in the community, and so they'll identify them and they'll put them in the hell server. And then everybody that they find, they put them all into this server. And so you have this single server that's filled with the dregs of society, almost a prison for this game. And so you have to play with the cheaters and the nasty gamers and all that kind of stuff. Do you think that's a good approach, or is that just creating this festering monster over here that's not solving any issues?
You use very strong words. I don't think people are horrible. I think they can do horrible things. And I don't know what the effect of that sort of system would be. I think that's really interesting and I'd like to analyse it. I don't know. Perhaps I'm very naive or too kind-willed or optimistic, but I think that that there aren't horrible people. They just do horrible things for their own reasons, and perhaps gently discouraging them from doing that. Like the first example you suggested, I thought that was quite clever.
Okay.
To kind of encourage people to consider what they're saying to other people by portraying them in a different way to how they intended.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. I'd like to see more of that. I do think that Overwatch is quite has set a good example for the way that its users interact with one another.
Right.
I would have to have a bit more of a think to kind of work out why and how that is, but it seems like it's a lot more of a healthy space than other perhaps
competitive shooters.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think there's an article out there. I want to say it was a Kotaku article, but it was some writer who was put onto one of those hell servers, and he explains how he got there, and it was kind of questionable, but he essentially said, like, once you're there, you can't get out. And that's what probably the most discouraging thing is, that there's no remedial actions you can take to change your behavior so that they would give you an opportunity to rejoin, quote unquote, civilized play. And I think, it's one thing to send cheaters to their own home, but if somebody wants to, turn over a new leaf or see the error of their ways or whatever, that there has to be a way for them to reclaim their good name and make that available versus just, end it and forget it because I don't want to put any more resources into it.
What's to stop people from having a throwaway log on?
I'm not sure. I know it was addressed, but I'm not sure what
I guess they wouldn't grow any stats or whatever.
I think it goes along with the the licensing of the game. So whatever the DRM is, that might be tied to an account. I don't know for sure though.
Interesting.
Anyway, very interesting. And it's on a side note, I don't want to change the conversation, but I love hearing the birds in the background.
Can you hear them? I'm sorry.
No, you're totally fine because I'm, in the dark, dead cold of winter, and I haven't seen a bird in ages, and so it's so heartening to know that nature still exists. It's been well below zero for most of this week, so I don't know my Celsius. We're here in freedom units, so anyway.
When I got into my car the other day, it was 109 Fahrenheit, so 43 Celsius.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's just
I would
ridiculous.
be
melting. It's not a happy time over here. Right now.
We did have one question from the community. The Nighty would like to know what your favorite video game is.
I was just going to ask that question.
Oh, yeah?
Seriously.
All right, well, Joe has it as well.
Damn it. I was waiting patiently for you to stop talking so I could ask.
I hate dead air, though, Joe. I hate dead air. But now you're doubly on the spot because there's multiple people who want to know what is Jen's favorite game.
Can I choose 4?
Sure,
Yes.
I'd love to hear 4.
Zelda Ocarina of Time. Or Link
Fantastic.
to the Past. Can't really choose.
Oh my God, we literally had a debate on our Titanfall session about those two games in particular, that one side was arguing A Link to the Past was better than Ocarina, and it depended on when you were born, and it was only by a matter of like a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
Those two games are fantastic.
Braid.
Oh, I love that game.
The Last of Us.
Brilliant.
And Final Fantasy VIII.
Ooh.
Final Fantasy
Wow,
8.
8 you say.
Awesome.
8, yes, not 7.
Yeah, awesome. 8 was probably my favorite as well.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I never got into 7. Didn't get into 9. So 8 and 10, I think, were the two Final Fantasies that really stuck out for me. But particularly 8.
Wow.
I like 13 too.
So left field.
Well, it's the only one I've finished like 100%.
Oh,
Because
that's good.
my save game died. Well, I say died. My Final Fantasy save game got accidentally deleted by a younger brother of the guy that I was dating at the time. So I never got to finish it.
Did that relationship promptly end?
No.
That would be the end of it for me.
Right? That's a deal breaker.
Yeah,
That's a total-
absolutely.
The relationship.
If you or anyone in your family deletes my Final Fantasy save, I'm out.
Yeah, but I didn't really mind so much back then because I wasn't a big gamer at that time. Later, yeah, if it happened in like the last 6 years, then yeah, there would have been problems.
Now, of those, would you have gone like full crazy and like, sorry, I don't mean to use the word crazy, gone full vindictive and just started slashing his tires on his car, or would it just been, here's your bag, we'll see you later?
Yeah, just to walk out. I like that I've influenced the way that you choose your
words
now.
I choose. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
That
always
means I've done my
cognizant,
job.
but yeah, there you go. And I think, well, to be honest, Joe and Tarragon do more of that than any of us. They've been, when I was in high school, I was a total jerk. Like, I was just an absolute monster. And I look back at that time in my life and I think, what was wrong with me? And now that I'm a functioning adult and I can see the error of my ways, I've become very cognizant of how, and you even said it yourself, I use very colorful language. I pick the words I say very specifically because they elicit a reaction. And so if I'm ready to use an incendiary word, I absolutely will, because there's a passion behind that word and there's a reason for choosing it. And so in the same regard, you can use negative words, and there's plenty of them out there that people just don't think there's anything wrong with it. And in reality, it's a very hurtful and terrible way to speak. And so without, making a conscious effort to change it, you're not going to affect any sort of good.
Can I add something to that?
I'd love to hear it.
Good, I get to speak. Well, you asked me a question and then you answered it for me, so you didn't actually, So I get to speak about the words, because people tend to have a problem when you point out that they shouldn't use a certain word. They're like, "Oh, it's only one word. It doesn't matter," But the reason that Chinese water torture is so effective is it's just one drip of water, one drip, one drip. One drip, to the point where it just gets unbearable and you break. And it's like that with words. Oh yeah, it's just one word. Doesn't matter. But over and over and over and over and over again, there is like the straw that broke the camel's back.
Sure.
So it's nice that people like you are starting to think about what they say, but I wish more people would.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And we can help them by just keep talking about it and keep reminding everybody.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah. That's not massively effective, but we can try.
Yeah.
On a happier note, can I ask the question we ask everybody?
I'm ready.
So, Jen, would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck?
One horse-sized duck.
And that's
interesting.
Join the club. All right.
It depends like what the outcome is. Like, is it trying to kill me?
Yes.
Well, then it's going to be easier to take down one thing than it is to take down 100 little things. Or 20 little things, or however you want to. Like, it's only got one heart, right?
Brilliant.
That's a good point, yes.
That was my choice, Jen. I stand by it. There's many in the horse category, the 100 small horses. I just think terrifying little critters.
That's silly.
Yeah,
it's a totally.
Think of all the hooves.
I just think of a humongous duckbill. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think ducks are scarier than horses, to be perfectly honest.
They're a little nastier, I bet. But
I mean, swans can break your arm.
Oh yeah, I bet. Jen, before we let you go, is there anything you'd like to plug? Anything that you want people to know about? Websites that they can visit of yours? How can the floor is yours?
Thank you. Look, we're doing a fundraising drive on Checkpoint, so that's checkpoint.org.au. You can go on there and read some mental health advice or learn more about video games that can be useful for mental health, learn about the projects and events that we're doing in the future. And if you're feeling kind and generous, you can hit the orange donate button in the top left corner. And just as useful as that is just sharing on social media what we're doing and telling everybody that you know about it. So you can reach us on Twitter at checkpoint.org or Facebook at Checkpoint Organisation.
That's brilliant. It has been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on our show. We look forward to all of the the innovations, the successes that you have, reaching others with gaming and mental health issues. This is it's certainly worth everyone's time, and I'm so glad that you're championing the cause. It's really great to hear from you. So thank you.
It's my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, it's time to wrap up the show, and as you might be able to tell, my voice is completely falling apart, so let's try to wrap this up before I go completely mute. Zombie news. I got a couple things, just real quick, just the two games. One that actually just came out this week, Dead Effect 2. Those of you zombie aficionados, this looks like a mobile port. Yeah, apparently it was first one was successful enough to warrant a sequel, unless they just decided to throw a 2 on there for fun. No, actually, I have seen the sequel or the original. Standard first-person shooter, zombie themed space station. Might be kind of fun. We'll see. Maybe watch some gameplay on it or something. The other one announced How to Survive 2. They had an announcement trailer for that coming out pretty darn soon, I think in April, maybe in March. But oh my gosh, it looks almost exactly like the first game. So I haven't seen anything written as to what they've added or what's changed. So we'll kind of keep our eyes out for that one. But 2 new zombie games up on the calendar that I'm looking forward to. Like I mentioned, we're going to do our contest roundup here. Zed to Zed Club is still accepting members. So if you want to find us on the Xbox, go ahead and request an invitation, like all clubs, and we'll hop you right on in there. Go nuts with the chat. We're still just trying to figure out how these club things are going to work. So, use them, do LFG in them, do whatever. Try to get some sort of functionality out of them because, I've only barely poked around. And so if somebody shows me how to do it, then maybe I can contribute a little bit more. Of course, we've got our Zed to Zed Gamer Tag Challenge for January. 2 gamer tags. It's still Redemption Denied and M. Surin. So you've got both those gamer tags to work for. Starting in February, Tarragon made that post about the rarity of specific letters, and so we're no longer requiring substitutions, right? So if you don't have one of those rare letters, just go ahead and leave it blank. We're achievement hunters. We're gonna assume that you have an achievement in some other game. There's no reason for us to double check all that. That's just going to be annoying. And then the super rare letters ZU, Y, Q, and X. If you miss those, if you need to substitute those, you'll still get 5 entries into the pool. So you're not gonna only get 1. It doesn't cut you down that much. If you have to substitute an E, a J, an I, an O, or a V, then that cuts you down to 1 entry, right? Because those are a little more common. And there's filters are uncommon, but you can find them. So those are the 10 rare letters that we're going to allow for gamer tags. February, who was February? Gosh, I don't remember. But check the forums, forum.zed2zed.com. That we'll be posting the February. We still got a couple weeks left. And Redemption Denied and M. Surin are pretty long, so something tells me you might have some work yet to do on those. The monthly challenge is for Disney Infinity this month, so wrap up those Disney Infinity titles, and then we're going to mix it up. Mix it up for February. All right? So instead of a game series, it's Valentine's Day in February, and so we're all about the love. We're all about your fellow gamer, and so in February we're calling it Love and Hearts. And so there are 2 ways to enter, or 3 ways to enter. Is if you have played, previously completed a game with the word love or heart in the title. So, for instance, Make It Rain, The Love of Money, or Nightmares of the Deep, The Cursed Heart, right? Love, heart, you get it. If you've already had those completions, you can get your 10 entries for that, or unlock any achievement in those titles, right? So any of those games would work. Also, you can unlock any individual achievement with those words. So, Colder Than the Devil's Heart in Max Payne 3, right? You get the idea. So if it has the word love or heart in the game title, you can use any achievement or the individual achievement if it has that name in there. So that's how we're going to enter for the month of February. I hope you enjoy it. It's a little bit more of a kind of going out there and hunting and pecking. And so good luck on that. Hopefully you can find some titles that work
within your game's collection. And remember, for any of these contests, the gamer tag challenge, the monthly challenge, you need to post in the forums, put links to the achievements that you're submitting, so that we can go and check them. We got to verify those. So if you want to get in for the fabulous prizes that we're offering, that's how you got to do it. Finally, random to-do list. The update for that is that the Windows 8 and Windows Phone achievements, they can be re-rolled at any time. So, if you get a Windows 8 or a Windows Phone achievement, give it a shot, or don't. Just ask for a re-roll. We will leave them on there unless you ask. So if you think, oh yeah, I'm going to give it a shot, I always meant to go back to that, I'll give it a try, just because of the wonky nature of them, we'll offer the re-rolls. We got the new contest that started. M. Surin started up a monthly contest for 2017 called the Overly Convoluted Achievement Spectacular, or MOCAS. And for January, it is Welcome to the Future. So earn 2017 Gamerscore in consecutive achievements. I had mentioned that, I think, at the top of the show. Post your starting achievement for that. What I've been doing, because I'm not a prolific scorer, is I did my period summary, and I don't even think I'm to 1,000 Gamerscore yet for the month of January, so I'm not that close. But that's a good way to see how close you're getting. So if you get up to like 19 something, then you can really dial in for 2017. But you can submit for that, and there will be prizes for that as well. So thank you, M. Surin, for hosting that. Finally, we've got our boosting and co-op sessions. My dance card is pretty darn full, and it's awesome. I love it. Although I've had to cut some of my sessions short because I'm just feeling sick this week. But Monday I'm playing Diablo. Tuesday we've got Destiny. Wednesday between Tuesday and Wednesday, I know there's a group on Tuesday playing Battleborn. I'm playing Battleborn on Wednesdays. Thursday we've got our Titanfall session, of course. I know there's still Titanfall going on, although the UK people all completed it. They're still holding the Sunday session with Tarragon. Tarragon's holding a Saturday Destiny. We're all over the place. So, and there's the WWE session for Monday night that Big L and I think Beast Middle's in, and there's some others in that as well. So, hey, there's tons of opportunities to game with the community. Keep your eyes out on our Discord chat. We have the sub chats on the side there. LFG, whatever the game is. That's what we called it. And if you think we're missing one, or there's a game you want to start up, we can put up a chat for you, or you can just go in the general LFG. I saw some posts today like, hey, anyone want to trade some wins in Tumblestone or do some, multiplayer in this game? That's an awesome place for that as well, because our chat's usually pretty darn busy, and so maybe someone's hanging out. I know we got a lot of people who work from home, and so, maybe they want to take a long lunch and give you a hand with an achievement. So we've got that. Finally, this is the very last thing I'm going to mention, is GTASC. I can't even get the acronym right. The Great True Achievements Score Challenge for 2017 is underway. Week 1's in the books. Hopefully you all survived. Hey, I know there's a lot of people who put up some big points. Hopefully they realize that the points reset at the end of the week, and so you've got to do it all over again. But we're into week 2 as this podcast comes out. If you have a GTASC team that you'd like us to follow, let us know who you are. We can put them into to a master forum little sheet here. You guys can even have a separate little sub chat if you wanted. That would be in our Discord site. It's all up to you. I don't know how you guys prefer to communicate. I've enjoyed having it on that site. So lots of options, lots of ways to communicate and talk with all of us here at the Z2Z community, and we're happy to have you. We're excited. This is just an awesome community to be a part of. So, with all that being said, I think my voice is finally done for the night. And that'll do it. So thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed this, because it's been a lot of fun to record. We were all over the place this episode. I hope you found it as enlightening as I did. So, see there, I'm already dying.
if you could help us out and give us a review on iTunes or wherever you listen to this podcast, that would be fantastic. It super helps get the show out there, promotes it for others to listen. We cannot thank you enough for all of that. You can visit our website, zed2zed.com, ZEDTOZED. There you can find show notes, credits, links to things that we've talked about, videos, all sorts of things that you'll see in the show. And there's so many ways to reach us. Twitter's probably one of the easiest, at Z2Z. Again, ZEDTOZED, all one word. We've got our email, contact@Z2Z.com. Private messages everywhere. True achievements. Our forums, forum.Z2Z.com. Discord chat, discord.me/Z2Z. We're not hard to find. Xbox Live, there's another way to do it. So yeah, if you want to talk to us, we absolutely love it. It's great. Finally, I want to give a big shout out to all of the tools that help make this podcast a reality. We've got Libsyn, Discord, Trello, Twitter, Discourse, Zencastr, Skype, and True Achievements for making all the tools that we use to make this show a possibility. And a huge thank you to all the games media and video game sites that we frequent to get us all of the ins and outs of what's going on in the industry and helping make achievement hunting a reality. Finally, Microsoft, thank you so much for the Xbox One console. It has been quite the wild ride. And on behalf of everybody who has helped out to contribute to this show, I've been Brandon. I hope you've enjoyed it. And to all you achievement hunters and Gamerscore junkies out there, thank you so much for listening. And we'll see you next episode. I made it. I can't wait. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace. All of whom reached this milestone within the past couple of weeks through the Z2Z boosting sessions. So the 5 of them have got it. Comcast again. God. Comcast, you're the worst. I hate you. I hate your face so bad.
Take it. I think your mannequin is sick.
Yep. Can you take a screenshot of that? I should probably do that. I suppose I could just take a picture with my phone.
Why do you have a mannequin
just put it up again. I'll put it up again. I'll get a screenshot.
I can't see mine, is it?
Yep, got it.
Why do you have a mannequin head?
Why don't you, Randy?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, don't be a
maybe
weirdo.
I do. You guys don't know. I could have 3.
You know what, Randy? I already answered that question on last week's podcast. So if you want to find out, you can listen.
It's like 3 hours of listening, though.
Hey, Prue, did you get your Switch pre-order in?
No.
Cool. Well, I think that's all we need to cover for now. I got some zombie news that I'm going to get into. Not right now, though.
All right.
Is it as interesting as the actual research on creating zombies? Because that was really kind of scary to hear in the last podcast.
Oh, that they're trying to do? Saucy sent me another one. I'm going to save it for the next week or 2 weeks from now. No, but there's another one.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know where Saucy finds these things, but it's like kind of creepy.
I swear all Saucy does is just troll Reddit for random strange stuff.
Yeah, could be.
like Netbeard guy.
Oh my god, that guy. That's just a disaster.
Is that what the YouTube links are that keep on getting pasted in the chat? Because I totally don't look at those YouTube videos.
Oh, Joe, so if you get a chance, go to Saucy Slingos. He uploaded a clip. You will totally appreciate this. You heard on the last podcast about how awful Big L is at Destiny. There's video evidence of how awful he is, and Saucy posted
I'll get you the link.
Okay, cool.
It's just, if you don't know Destiny, it's still funny, but not as funny if you've actually played it. But like, he just starts wandering off and whatever, and then just gets, alerts everybody. It's just great.
I've
Video
not played
evidence
it
of him.
myself, but my friend Patrick has sort of played it whilst I've been in the vicinity. so I have seen it.
The context to the area. The context of the area they're in is that they're essentially trying to get through a maze, and there are these things called gorgons that float around. As soon as they spot you, you've got about 5 seconds or something like that to kill that gorgon. Otherwise, your entire team gets wiped. So that's the context. And if you watch the clip, you'll see. It's pretty funny.
Doopa-doopa-doo.
Oh my god, what is he doing? He's
Yeah,
also
right?
like a really low level.
Yeah.
It's like he wants to get killed.
Yeah.
And also, that is a really freaky jellyfish thing.
Yeah, that's the Gorgon. It's essentially a moving security camera.